No time to waste. We got to get going here. Free agency begins. CHGO Bears free agent frenzy right now. Welcome in to the CHGO Bears Podcast. It is one of the busier, more fun days of the year. Free agency begins right now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, everyone make fun of Greg for sitting in a wheelchair. He's fine. We tried to make him stay home today. He refused.
Not for a day like this.
He's not fine. He's most definitely first error of the show right there. Not fine. Not normal.
He's fine.
I'm fine.
He's physically fine.
Not mentally fine. I'm definitely not mentally fine because Twitter, currently known as X,
This
is
might surprise
ruining
you.
all of our lives and is
Not ruining
crashed
mine.
for the last hour. Well, I mean, how are we supposed to get our news today?
We're going to get it. Don't you worry.
The same way we used to get it, and it's going to be fine. You're
The
going to
Telegraph?
get it right here on the CHGO Bears Podcast. And by the way, now is the best time to become a diehard because to celebrate the start of free agency, we have a $36 diehard sale that is officially live right now. Celebrate free agency with us. ALLCHGO.com/intro is where you go to get this offer. ALLCHGO.com/intro. You get for $36 for the whole year. That alone is worth it for just Fran Duffy's draft guide. But beyond that, we're going to have a bunch of diehard content this week up with free agency. So go ahead and get that there. Greg is freaking out about Twitter being down. He's only mentioned it 172 times in the last hour. Hey, we're on Blue Sky, though.
This is the day for Blue Sky. This is the opportunity that you needed. Take advantage, Blue Sky. You can get yourself in the middle of this. Braggs has been... You've been hesitant, but today's the day for Blue Sky, buddy.
Yeah, I've already posted a couple times there this morning. But ultimately, it's not about what we're posting. I'm just trying to find out the information because last 2 years, the Bears were the first, signing, to start free agency. Last year was DeAndre Swift. And so we're all just kind of waiting. Like, obviously, Drew Dalman's been, at the top of everyone's list of wants, and there's been a lot of rumors surrounding him. We all thought Khalil Mack was going to be somebody the Bears could potentially sign. And then about a half hour ago, it sounds like he's going back to the Chargers on an $18 million one-year deal. So, this is the day where information is moving at lightning speed pace. And unfortunately, we're going to have to find different avenues to find that info.
Well, we don't have to try that hard. So Hassan Reddick is going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, according to Adam Schefter. So that's your first one off the board here shortly after 11 a.m. Central Time.
Well, first of all,
you know who Hassan Reddick is, right?
Yes.
Neither of you responded.
Yeah,
I do.
Yes, I do. And I've got so many things going on here. I got to maintain my focus. First, I have Khalil Mack reaction. Now Hassan Reddick is dropped, who the Bears would never link to. No big deal there. Listen, the Drew Dalman watch is real, and this day is going to be. I mean, it just feels like the Bears are already ahead of the game, right? I mean, you've had a great start to the offseason. Today is. I mean, it feels like we've already gotten a good, solid appetizer, if not even a meal. So at least halfway in here. So how far are they going to go? How much money are you going to allocate? You're down to $40 million left. And to me, again, the way the Bears are going to get where they need to go, it's going to come at the end of April. And I'm not anticipating the Bears, as the Trey Hendrickson sits out there. It doesn't seem like they want to give up, obviously, the 10 and or the 39 and or the 41. That domino still, that's where my focus is right now. What's going to happen with the biggest fish out there?
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, the Bears are already ahead of the game here last week, picking up some different guys. And, if they had signed Joe Thuney here right now, it'd be a big deal. But it already happened last week. So, for Bears fans right now that are waiting on pins and needles, come on, do something. Well, the Bears already have. They've traded for one of the best guards in football. And not only that, you add the fact that they brought in Jonah Jackson as well. If they were to make an announcement here in the next couple hours while we're live that they announced Drew Dalman to the Bears, you're talking about solidifying your offensive line the first day of free agency, which, for me going into this offseason, I really didn't think was going to be possible until we were through the draft. So I think the Bears still have a huge opportunity. I said a couple weeks ago when we listed what our top needs for this team was, and my number one need for this team was center. As much as there are better players available for guard, center to me is the most important position for the Bears to improve on. And there's a limited amount of players available in free agency and the draft at center, unfortunately, but there's an opportunity here for the Bears to get the top guy off that board.
Another signing already coming in per Adam Schefter. Jalen Moore goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, so they address their left tackle position. Quickly replacing, I know it's a different position, but they let Joe Thuney go. Trey Smith did sign his tag yesterday, so he's on the books for $23 million. Jalen Moore goes from the 49ers to the Kansas City Chiefs. I did see the money a second ago, and now I lost it, but it was a good amount of money. So the left tackle market, not all that impressive, but Moore is kind of the guy that sort of has the most upside probably of those guys available. So the Chiefs go out and get him.
You're talking about, see, this is where, and I don't want to be redundant, but that's what's going to happen a lot today. I look at these signings, and then I look at where they started. Jalen Moore was a 5th-round pick back in 2021. These are the wins that you're looking for the next 2 months. Guys, you can make a decision. Do you want to pay him? Do you not want to pay him? We got good years out of him, but we're letting him go. Drew Dalman, that was an outstanding 4th-round pick by the Atlanta Falcons, who, and everybody you talk to, and then you watch the tape yourself, you see a very solid, if not spectacular player, just doing what is required week in and week out, which is why they're in this position, and Atlanta gets to choose, do we want to pay the 6th, 8th, wherever you want to rank him, center in the game, number 2 money? And maybe Atlanta will, maybe they won't. Obviously, as right now with the Bears' needs, the Bears are seemingly willing to do that. Will they go to 14? I would think so. Will they go to 15? How high is this going to go?
Yeah.
I think he's getting $15 million a year for more. So, and everybody's reacting like that's crazy. But that's the same thing that might, when it's supply and demand, there's not a whole lot of supply. Guys are going to get more, and that might be what happens with Dalman. So the big news, I guess, this morning would have been the Khalil Mack re-signing with the Chargers.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm okay with that. It's 1 year, $18 million was what it ended up being, right? So with it being 1 year, it's fully guaranteed. That would have been another giant cap hit. I still think that, he would have come into the defense and probably become their best player immediately still. Even at his age, 1 year doesn't hurt you long term, but it would have been essentially half of the remaining cap space in one move right there. So I don't blame the Bears for not going that high.
Well, you're paying Jonah Jackson 1 year for $18 million, correct?
17
and a half.
Cap hit's probably more in the 11s though.
Right. So, it would have made sense to me to bring in Khalil Mack. I can understand Bears fans being disappointed for that. Obviously, we all, love and adore Khalil Mack for his time here. You could have brought him in as a vet, knowing what you're going to get from him for a year, and then have an ability to have flexibility with that, number 10 pick in the draft, and maybe attack a defensive lineman early on that can develop behind, a couple guys in Montez Sweat and Khalil Mack. Not too bad of guys to work with and learn from, but Khalil Mack chooses to stay home. So be it. There's other options out there. There's plenty of the nice thing about the Bears this offseason is they need defensive line, they need offensive line. Those come in droves in both free agency and in the draft to upgrade in both those departments. So The Bears just have to continue to look at their options. There's players that have been getting cut here the last couple days that I think are on the table. A guy like Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle from Washington, right? So there's different guys that I think the Bears can look at here to improve. And nobody has to be, panicking just yet, just because Khalil Mack's off the board.
Yeah,
We got Chris Godwin, 3 years, $66 million. Back to the Buccaneers.
Back to the Buccaneers. That scared me with the alarm. I thought maybe something for the Bears happened.
No,
It's not all about you,
it's a
Greg.
free agent alarm.
Well, it's not about me. It's about the Bears.
Oh, okay.
So I thought we hadn't used the alarm for the other announcements. So then when the alarm came in,
Well, it's a little harder this year with no Twitter.
right.
It's getting tricky.
Yeah. See, everybody makes fun of Twitter, but now look.
I'm having no problem on Blue Sky right now.
Yeah, they're doing a
Just
great
for the
job.
record. Follow me at Adam Hoge blah 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 blah.
Exactly. The handles are weird.
It's still the same handle though. It's just the .b sky.
It's too much
dot
stuff
social.
going on
It's
there. They
weird.
got to clean it up.
Talk to upper management over there at Blue Sky. We'll
Clean-
get you on the phone.
clean it up.
You could do a great job running that operation over there. In addition to doing this job, don't worry. I'm just adding stuff on.
No, I agree.
Money, you make all the money.
Elon's having a great 5 days, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's hot. So let's go back to Mac for a second. I find myself in the same position on, which is not that exciting, on most of the options here. Would I have freaked out and said that's a terrible move if the Bears had signed Khalil Mack for $18 million for 1 year? I wouldn't have. But again, 34 years old, you're not getting the player back in 2018 either, and you're signing him on a 1-year deal. This is not a 1-year plan. This is a sustained winning plan. So I understand that the options are not overflowing with guys that can get to the quarterback, but there is a premium 17.5 sack guy out there. If you're going to go to that level, get creative with the money. I didn't look at it like, oh, you gotta have Khalil Mack and bring it back. I also looked at it like, do you really think that Khalil Mack wants to come back to the Bears at age 34 when he's trying to win at the very end of his season? I didn't think he was going to look at the Bears as some supreme option, and maybe the Bears weren't even close on the money. Who knows? But him going back to the Chargers to me is not a big surprise at all.
No, and I don't think anybody has to lose sleep over it either.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know you said I'm not allowed to break news today, but there was somebody I was interested in talking about. Ian Rappaport on Blue Sky reporting that the Arizona Cardinals are bringing Evan Brown back.
It happened like an hour ago.
Yeah. Well, I just find that interesting.
What do you find interesting about it?
Oh, it's just somebody that was on the table, right?
Yep.
Always looking at O-line options. So that did. It happened 39 minutes ago, not an hour.
Well, the Jalen Moore thing, $15 million for Jalen Moore? Do you think that where does the price go on Dalman for that? I understand.
Yeah.
Like left tackle to center, I get it, but and you're going to pay more outside, but that's a lot of money for a dude that, is not a premium
Yeah,
player.
but $15 million a year would actually be like in the acceptable range for Dalman,
Sure.
based on what they're worried about it going up to. So if that's left tackle money, even though I would probably say Dalman's the better player, I don't know. It just wouldn't shock me if that Dalman contract ends up not being as bad as we all thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
I seeing that number makes me think, are we going up to 18 here? And how?
Yeah.
And the question too is Ryan Poles going to go about this the way he's gone about it in the past, which is, this is my number.
Yeah.
I'm not going to chase. I sort of feel like we're in a different zone here because they're in such a needed center. But, the thought that I had driving down this morning, deep thoughts for Carman in the car, like how much better, this is not sexy either, how much better is Coleman Shelton now when you have the two guards opposite him? How much does that raise his play?
That is the exact type of mentality I do not want the Bears front office to have anymore. Go get a dude.
Fair
Stop
enough.
being like, well, this guy is a multiplier and he's going to make these 3 average players above average. No. Stop screwing around. This is the most important asset you have in your entire franchise in Caleb Williams. Put good players in front of him.
I don't disagree, but
What is Drew Dalman a dude?
Yeah, like
He's way better than Coleman Shelton.
fair enough. But at some point, like, what's the price differential? And I look, the other side of it is, if you're you need to draft a center. I guess if you go out and get Dalman, it becomes way down the list of needs. But if you brought back Coleman for a lot less money and you drafted a center, I don't completely hate that plan. He was there for a year. It depends where this goes. I mean, how high up are you going to how desperate are you going to be? Maybe they'll be supremely desperate. They look at it like, hey, we have to have the center to put our whole offensive line together. Whatever the price is, we're going to be at the top. We'll figure out how to do the money down the road. That wouldn't completely surprise me, but history tells you that they do have a number. So it'll be interesting to see how high this goes.
Well, I mean, if you're bringing in Drew Dalman, whether you're paying A+ money for B talent, however you want to phrase it, the reason you're bringing in Drew Dalman is because you know that Ben Johnson wants veteran offensive linemen, especially at center, to help execute his offense. And not only that, but to get Caleb Williams, where he needs to be when you walk up to the line of scrimmage. I think some of the biggest problems that Caleb Williams had last year were at the line of scrimmage, reading who the hot was, arranging, who's blocking where, and motioning guys, and pre-snap reads, and what your front is that you're looking at, and whether you're going to run inside zone or outside zone. You saw at one point last year, Coleman Shelton say, we got freaking fire, man. So that, to me, to have a veteran center that's going to be able to get on the same page and get the calls out for him, and so Caleb can have that half of the equation out, that's one. And then two, I think that if Ben Johnson wants a guy here, then you have to trust as a Bears fan that, okay, I know what this guy's capabilities are, whether he's more of an outside zone guy than a gap run scheme type center, so be it. But your head coach, Ben Johnson, said, I can work with this guy. And as a fan, I think you just, at this point, have to trust Ben Johnson's vision, if that's the route they choose to go.
We are in, I think we've been saying it for a while now, we're in the trust in Ben zone. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But, and to your point, I agree with you. And also, look, Caleb's got to get there. This is, you went out and you got the best head coach out of the market. You went out and you got a new offensive line coach. You went out and you added 2 veteran offensive
You have
line.
a whole new offense, all these new moving parts, new coaching staff, and you're trying to develop a quarterback with a first-year head coach. It makes it a lot easier if you have a center that can help get the calls out for him.
Yeah. Hoge, I'll leave it to you what to do right now.
Well, let's take a break.
No, hang on here.
So, exciting time. Hey, I saw our guy Jesus Rodriguez in the chat became a diehard just as soon as we announced.
All right, guys. Yeah, breaking news here. Twitter is glitching, but I did get I got the notification, so I know that means it came from Rappaport. But then when I click on the thing, it doesn't come up. So, but it appears that the Bears, not surprisingly, because this is where it seems to be, has been headed. I mentioned this at the Combine that was almost 2 weeks ago now, which is crazy. But it does appear that Drew Dalman will be a Bear.
Let's go.
Do a dance. Sing a song. Make a move. Yes. Claps from the peanut gallery. Luke Stuckmeyer's fired up. Patrick Nord just leaped out of his seat. Jenny Braggs is so happy that she's here today. Am I allowed to say that your wife is in the building?
Per Ian Rappaport, it appears a 3-year, $42 million deal with $28 million guaranteed.
Can you say that again?
3-year, $42 million deal with $28 million guaranteed per Ian Rappaport.
So that's $14 a year for 2 years.
And like I said,
you do the math on that.
My instant reaction to that is, wow, the Chicago Bears in the first 20 minutes of free agency already have their offensive line for this season solidified. And who would have thought when this offseason started that they'd be able to fix it this quickly? We just talked to Ben Johnson at the Combine 8 days ago, and he said, well, the Carolina Panthers did it last year, and revamped their offensive line, so we can too. Well, guess what? They backed it up. They go out and get Jonah Jackson. They go out and get Joe Thuney, and now they signed Drew Dalman. Braxton Jones still got to come back from an injury, but you have an opportunity with that number 10 pick now to be aggressive and take who you want, and that could very well be a guy like Will Campbell, who could be your left tackle of the future. But who would have thought as we enter the first 20 minutes of free agency that the Chicago Bears already have their answer of who their starting 5 offensive line is. That's exciting.
Well, they don't, because the left tackle still.
I mean, Braxton's still got to earn the job, but ultimately, I just, I'm just saying, like, I think that's impressive work to start off, and now you have an opportunity to get a left tackle with that 10th pick.
Would you like to do an Adam Hoge instant reaction right now to this too, or should we table that for a second? I'll give you one.
Hey, Grassy, I'm working here, buddy. There's a lot of things going on, all right? I'll smile when I want to.
Sell it out, Grassy. Would you like to do an instant reaction, Hoge?
I don't know. Let me just talk about the signing. Should we take a break, Steven, or discuss it? You tell me.
You
okay. Yeah, so first of all, the contract, 3 years, $42 million. That's $14 a year, $28 million guaranteed. Take the player out of it. I think given the situation, totally justified to be signing a center. We'll see what the signing bonus is, because that could bring down the cap hit for this year anyway on top of that. So you don't have to necessarily look at it like just, $14 million of whatever the 40 is they had left is off the table. Drew Dalman's a good player. He's definitely an upgrade, and I think at this price, I won't even give you the caveat of they're paying a B-plus player A money. I don't even think this is A money, to be honest with you. I think this is a value when you consider what the center market is that's completely justified. They're not screwing around, and yes, they have addressed the interior of their O-line starting before free agency, and now basically 20 minutes into free agency, they do have a much better offensive line, and especially on the inside where they've been screwing around for way too long. They have they have a potential Hall of Famer, they have a really good center, and they have definitely an upgrade at right guard too, all across the board. That should help Caleb Williams a lot. So there's a lot to be happy about if you're the Chicago Bears with this move. I think Drew Dalman was the key missing piece. The biggest hole they still had on offense was at center. There was one obvious solution, which I've been hearing for weeks. There was interest there. It was just a matter of, if Dalman was actually going to leave Atlanta, which that seemed to be the writing on the wall the entire time. The Bears made the most sense for him. He made the most sense for the Bears. This is a great signing.
Yeah, listen, when the money started going up, I was like, well, I wouldn't go completely nuts here, because I like to, I like to have my cake and eat it too. That contract, $28 million guaranteed, 42 completely reasonable in a position of a huge need. I think it's an incredible offseason so far for the Bears as far as just solidifying the roster. Like this is like a sexy salad. Like it's just been you've gone out and gotten you've gotten an all-pro, a leader in Joe Thuney. You have gotten the top center available when you absolutely had to have a solution there. Jonah Jackson, before last year, you would not have thought that the Bears would have been able to land somebody like that either. You have your top 10 pick. You've got 39. You got 41. I don't know, Trey Hendrickson is sitting out there. We predicted on Friday. I predicted that they would sign both. You had Dalman here, trade for one, whatever, you get it. So this, the money was, I was getting nervous about it, but now the way it landed, completely reasonable, and hey, good, tremendous execution by the Bears.
And don't stop here. I know everybody's all over the map with what they want to do here with the number 10 pick. Ashton Genty, defensive line. Don't stop here, Poles. Go get a left tackle for the future right now with that number 10 pick and double, triple, quadruple down on this offensive line. Leave no stone unturned. Make sure that offensive line room is a strength for this organization for the next 5 years. And people say, oh, well, if you're going to draft left tackle, then he needs to be a starter. Then let him be a starter. If he's your number 10 pick, Will Campbell comes in here. If he can beat out Braxton Jones, so be it. So be it. But I'm drafting offensive line with my number 10 pick at this point.
Okay.
All right, we got to take a break. We got plenty of reactions still coming up on Drew Dalman and what might still be coming. But first, let's talk about game time. Because game time, right now it feels like game time with free agency going on.
Really
but
does.
when you are looking for tickets, you might just be wondering what the price is. I'm telling you what, Game Time's the app to use. I use it all the time. There's not a day that goes by without me checking the price of some tickets on Game Time. And they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that helps making getting tickets easier than ever before. They filter out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It pops up even when you're looking at the seat map. Boom. That's the best deal right here. It'll tell you what percentage of a great deal it is compared to the other seats available. And this isn't just for sporting events, which it's great for sports, but concerts, comedy events, they have it all. They show you your seats before you buy. They have on-time ticket delivery and a low price guarantee, plus event cancellation protection too. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
And shout out to our friends at Boston Beer and their new product, Sam Adams American Light. So delicious. You should not have to think you're losing any quality when you're going to the light beer, and that's what Sam Adams American Light is. Light beer just getting better, clean and crisp, super easy to drink, just tastes delicious. We should have about 6 of them going on right now with Drew Dalman being signed. Sam Adams American Light, not your average light beer, brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. It's an American classic, so smooth you'll want to crack open another. It's always Sam season. And again, yeah, that's right, light beer just getting better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light, available now at select Chicago retailers. You do have to be 21. Please drink responsibly. Cheers to you with the Sam Adams American Light. Drew Dalman in the fold here. Let's go.
Yeah. So Drew Dalman, if you missed Friday's show, I've been watching some tape on Dalman. I specifically keyed in on the Minnesota game last year because, Bears fans know Brian Flores' scheme, how exotic it is. It could be stressful on the center. That was one of his best games of the season last year. Inside US Bank Stadium, on the road, loud environment against the Vikings. And, look, he had Kirk Cousins playing quarterback for him in that game. Obviously, Kirk Cousins, as a veteran, is going to take on a ton of the responsibility in terms of making checks. But you see Dalman with some hand signals behind his back. They tried a couple different things in the silent count. But overall, the most important thing is he played well. He handled that environment well. And I just clearly, he just seemed like a guy who is in control, understanding what they're doing on offense against a really tough defense that is trying to confuse you the entire game. So to me, this is definitely an upgrade. A lot of outside zone. I think the Bears will not be necessarily a strictly outside zone team. I mean, no one really is, but their running lanes are going to be a little bit different. But for what they're trying to do and the variety in the run game that Ben Johnson likes to use, I think Dalman's a great fit there too. So, good job by the Bears. Seriously, I mean, Ben Johnson stood up there at the podium in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago and was asked, how quickly can you flip your inside of your offensive line? He's like, I definitely can be done. Just look at what Carolina did. And here we are. It's 11:30 on the first day of free agency, and the Bears have drastically upgraded left guard, drastically upgraded center, and I think upgraded right guard as well. So really good start to free agency for the Bears on offense with Ben Johnson coming in here.
Go ahead, Gregory.
No, it's exciting. It really is. I mean, we all understood the task at hand for this offensive line, and the Bears got creative, right? No one was talking about Joe Thuney 2 weeks ago at the Combine. Everybody was focused in on Trey Smith, and what little did we realize in that moment, well, there was a domino effect. Okay, Chiefs want to keep Trey Smith. Well, guess what? Now Joe Thuney becomes available. Poles saw that where other people may not have and jumped at that opportunity to bring in an all-pro left guard. And that's an anchor to your offensive line. He is arguably your best player on your team right now. And so you bring Jonah Jackson in, somebody that has familiarity with Ben Johnson, Drew Dalman, a significant upgrade from what we've had to deal with at the center position, whether it be Sam Mustipher or Lucas Patrick, Coleman Shelton didn't do a terrible job last year, but the team itself was a mess. The play calling was a mess. The offense was a mess. And you had a rookie quarterback that was overwhelmed with the amount of responsibilities he had at the line of scrimmage. They weren't scripting plays for the first 4 games to start last year. Now you have a head coach in here, $13 million Ben Johnson, the belle of the ball for the head coaching hires. And now you have an offensive line that has respectability. Braxton Jones, I think that's the next point of conversation here, is where this goes with Braxton Jones. Because Ryan Poles at the Combine, and you kind of sought this out as Brad Biggs asked him the question to end his presser, he basically was saying, like, yeah, we'll see how he comes out from this. But it definitely seems like with the opportunity the Bears have in this draft, that Braxton Jones better be ready to compete for that left tackle spot.
Well, fans, I'm definitely excited about Drew Dalman. Hit that like button to celebrate.
That's right. Hit the like button for Dalman. Hit the like button for the guy here coming off the ACL injury, sitting here in a wheelchair, battling it through because he would not miss today. Hit the like button for Hoge because he's Hoge, and for Steven producing the show.
Another thing I think is important here with the Dalman signing, and one of the biggest reasons why I've been so adamant now for a while to fix the interior of the offensive line. Okay, when you teach protections and you teach where stopping pressure, I should say, begins, it's in the A gaps. Okay, it's just an absolute no-no to allow pressure through the A gaps. You want that to be, if you're going to allow it anywhere, on the outside. And so when you have a quarterback, and I don't know that we talk about this enough, Caleb Williams is on the shorter end of quarterbacks. He just is. I think he overcomes it with the way he plays, but it does affect you a little bit more when you're shorter and you face a lot of interior pressure. So I think when you match those two ideas together, it just makes the most sense to make sure that if there is going to be pressure, it's coming from the outside rather than on the inside. And I just always been a big believer of building your offensive line inside out. That doesn't mean the tackles don't matter. That doesn't mean the tackles shouldn't get be the highest paid players. It's just you can't have weaknesses in the middle of your offensive line. And I'm excited to see a Bears team that finally does not have that.
Well, 100%. And look, how were you going to do it if you didn't sign Drew Dalman? Like we were playing with it beforehand. Like to me, the best option was, well, if you punt on the price tag for Dalman, then it's like almost like you're going to bring back Coleman Shelton and hope he's better because there's more talent around him, which is going to excite absolutely no one. So the price didn't get crazy. The Bears have been targeting Dalman for a long time here. I would think that Ben Johnson knew that he wanted him before he even signed it on the dotted line, and here we are. Look, you have an opportunity now to. This feels to me like a full reset. You have a new head coach. You got a new offensive line. You have, and most importantly, what's most exciting for me right now is if you have a new accountability in the locker room.
Well, you hope.
Well, I think you do.
I mean, they have to prove that here this summer, in my opinion.
And you don't know that until you have adversity.
No, but you have veterans like Joe Thuney who have been there and won Super Bowls. It's a different level of experience that is in there. I know that Drew Dalman hasn't, won a Super Bowl yet down in Atlanta, but he's won a lot more football games than we've won here in Chicago. So, and even the same thing for Jonah Jackson for that matter. So listen, to me, like that Bears locker room, we talked about it a ton last year. It needed a major adjustment, and it's the way the offseason has started. It makes me feel a whole lot better of what's going to be going on in there. There are guys to look up to in that room that they didn't have before.
Certainly guys to look up to. From the people I talked to from Kansas City, they said, Joe Thuney's certainly a leader, but a lead by example guy, not a rah-rah guy. And that's fine. You don't have to be the in-your-face type, the Olin Kreutz type to inspire others to play above their capability or hold themselves accountable. I think this coaching staff is certainly going to be huge for that. We talked about how exciting it is for Eric Bieniemy to come into this coaching staff. Everything we heard from him at the Super Bowl, from everybody that's worked with him, whether that's Kyle Long or different people with the Chiefs organization. So then you have Antoine Randall, who we've seen on the sideline holding guys like Jameson Williams accountable. Al Harris, look what he's done with the DB room in Dallas. Then you have, a defensive line and an offensive line coach that have a resume that speak for themselves. But to your point about now this is all going to be about accountability, that's one of the biggest tasks at hand that we won't know until we get there. They meet for the first time here before the draft because it's a first-year head coach. But when they get here in the summer, because one of those things that they talked about was, well, it took us well too into the season. They were being too nice last year at minicamp. No more being nice. Hold each other accountable. Don't have to yell at each other, but there definitely needs to be a higher level of accountability with this team and a much stronger culture. But they have to earn that. They don't just get that by putting players on a roster.
All right, guys, we got a couple defensive tackles coming off the market. Javon Kinlaw, he signs with the Commanders, 3-year, $45 million deal. And then another defensive tackle, B.J. Hill, signs with the Cincinnati Bengals, 3 years, $33 million. So that market's drying up pretty fast.
So Kinlaw to me is the first one that's surprising in not only in terms of, I guess, well, it's really the contract. I think we knew the Commanders were going to spend money on their defensive line, but for the most part, I think what's very interesting here, there's a lot of guys re-signing with teams. This has been a relatively slow start to free agency. We're 37 minutes in. The Dalman move might be the biggest signing. I think Javon Kinlaw might be the most shocking in terms of the money he got. And then the Chiefs, the left tackle they signed, I'm blanking on his name. Jalen Moore. That was also a significant one. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot popping here. And we're seeing way more teams re-sign their own guys. Chris Godwin getting a massive contract to stay with Tampa. I think it speaks to just the wariness with this free agency class. And what's interesting about this is the first wave of free agency typically, is today, but it's really in the first couple hours of today. I wonder if this has already ended. The first wave, the high price guys. I wonder if it's almost already over here. Well, in which case you might be able to sign somebody later today already at that lower, more reasonable price. Well, like a pass rusher, for instance.
Well, it happened yesterday.
Right. I mean,
all the big money moves yesterday. I was talking with my buddy Shane Marsaw. He listed them off. Josh Allen, 6 years, $330 million yesterday. A DK Metcalf to the Steelers, 5 years, $150 million. Browns, Myles Garrett, 4 years, $160 million. Devontae Adams to the Rams, 2 years, $46 million. Nick Bolton stays with the Chiefs, 3 years, $45 million. Harold Landry, 3 year, $43 million. And on it goes. Aaron Jones comes back to the Vikings, 2 year, $20 million. So this legal tampering period, whatever you want to call it, the Bears jumping ahead last week, making a couple offensive line moves, all these moves happening yesterday. It's I this whole point of okay, now is the start of free agency. It's been happening, guys.
Well, the Bolden thing was maybe the biggest surprise there because I had heard rumors that Kansas City was not going to pay the freight there, but they did. 3 years and $45 million, 30 guarantee there for a guy who's been a hell of a player for him. And again, by the way, that was a second-round pick back in 2021. I was just looking at his numbers. 559 tackles, 37 TFLs, tackles for loss. 4 players, Hoge, with 550-plus tackles and 35 tackles for loss in their first 4 seasons in the league for Nick Bolton. He's in the Luke Kuechly, Levante David, Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis category. But I still thought the Chiefs, there was talking to a lot of people from Kansas City. They thought that Nick Bolton, they were going to let him go, but they didn't. The DK Metcalf thing.
Well, a lot of people thought the Eagles were going to lose Zach Bond.
Yeah.
Both those guys ended up re-signing. I mean, It seems like teams are overpaying their own guys rather than overpaying somebody else's guys.
Well, that's the thing. Hey, man, if you know you have a good player in-house.
Except the Bears and Jack Sanborn.
Couldn't sign Sanborn for $3 million. That would have clipped the cap. That wouldn't have been worth it. No, but that's also part of having a coaching change, and guys want their own dudes.
I also just think when you talk about Josh Sweat or Milton Williams or whoever, there's a domino effect that needs to take place still. So who are the top dominoes that create that effect? And Trey Hendrickson, is being dangled,
That's the one that's still out there.
right.
That's big. Here.
And there's a lot of teams reportedly trying to get involved in that. So to me, if the Bears are going to make a huge splash on the defensive side of the ball, it could potentially be that. But, it's definitely one of those things where, you just kind of have to wait and let this thing play out. But, I mean, the Bears, to get their center, as I said a couple weeks ago, for me, the number one need on this team was center. I understand that there's better players available at different positions on the offensive line, but center was their biggest priority, and there was slim pickings when it comes to how you could upgrade that position. They got the top guy, so I'm happy as a fan.
All right, we got to take another quick time out here. I know there's some maybe some quarterback movement going on right now. We'll get to that in a second once we can verify it. But first, want to tell you about America's first ever USDA organic CBD company. It's called Cornbread. Cornbread is here to improve your quality of life with the highest quality hemp. And if life's been crazy lately, one thing that'll help you a little bit is Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. Because if you've ever been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort, the CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. They have the bar too that I've been using on my back here on your shoulders. Get a little tight up here, back of your neck and shoulders. Just a little bit of that, the CBD.
Oh yeah,
No,
I know what you're talking about, baby. I love it.
it just loosens you up just a little bit, makes you feel better.
Sleep like a baby. Come on, Cornbread. I love these guys.
I don't like sleep like a baby. Babies don't sleep well. Why do we say that?
Now we're in a weird zone.
My daughter slept like a baby.
How's this?
Well,
That's
mine
because
did
shout
too.
out to my wife. She had her on a good sleep schedule. Sleep schedules are important.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to check out Cornbread Hemp. All right. Right now, they're offering CHGO listeners 30% off your first order. So just visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use promo code CHGO at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO. Use code CHGO for 30% off your first order. This is the good life.
If you're looking for health and longevity alongside that, check out our friends at Timeline, where they are selling you the supplement that will take you to the next level. It's got the Mito Pure ingredient. What's Mito Pure? Well, it works with the cells in your body to help reverse age-related decline. And as you can see, my performance the last couple of weeks is just shooting through the roof. No decline right here, buddy. Thank you very much.
Debatable.
You can debate it all you want. You would be incorrect. Benefits include increased strength, energy, endurance. I had a phenomenal swim yesterday, just getting ready, getting everything moving, getting it loose, the hips. Felt so good.
I look forward to swimming.
Yeah, it's a good one. They've done 15-plus years of research, secured 30-plus U.S. patents for the products. Check out their website, timeline.com, if you want more information. Cells in our bodies are the building blocks of life, and Timeline is the supplements that's working with those cells. It's a good thing. Get it going. Right now, Timeline giving you 10% off your order of Mito Pure. Go to timeline.com/CHGO. That's timeline.com/CHGO. And get yourself in there. You're going to get 10% off your order with Mito Pure. Timeline.com/CHGO. Longevity, health, live the dream.
All right, now I'm officially annoyed with Twitter. Earlier, I was like, whatever. But here's why I'm annoyed. Because I'm still getting alerts from other people who are tweeting, but it won't work for me.
So what's weird about it is it'll work for like a moment. So I was able to put up the Drew Dalman tweet on our CHGO Bears account for like a second.
Yeah.
But then after that, it's crashed. So you can sneak in there. So if you have notifications turned on for certain people,
I do.
like Ian Rappaport, you'll get those. But if you're trying to go on there and like refresh the timeline and stuff, it's not working that way.
Just go to Blue Sky.
It just goes to show you.
Just go to
Well,
Blue
I'm
Sky.
just trying to figure out if my tweet from like 20 minutes ago even went through it. I can't. It won't even load my own profile.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be on Blue Sky.
I am on Blue Sky. I'm active on Blue Sky right now. So go check it out. But
When any rate, Perhaps they need some more employees over there at the other one. I don't know. What do you got? What do you got, Hoge? Where do you want to go? There's 8 zillion topics. I'm going to let you take us to the next level.
Why don't you pick one?
Okay. Well,
I was trying to check in on these quarterback stuff.
Let's talk about that for a second, and let's talk about our guy Justin Fields, because I think it's super interesting. The Pittsburgh Steelers started out the season 4-2. All right, they were winning football games, and Justin was quarterbacking, and then they benched him.
He had 10 touchdowns, I believe.
Yeah, I forget the exact stats, but he was off to a solid start of the season. Pittsburgh was winning games. Justin was having his moments. Then they pivoted to Russell. Then their season fell apart at the end. Now they traded a second-round pick and paid DK Metcalf $30 million a year. By the way, the greatest value in the NFL right now is Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia getting $20 million. You're getting all these offensive linemen getting paid that. The dude literally transformed the Eagles and they won the Super Bowl. But that's a whole nother story. Fields, the Steelers reportedly now want Fields, even though DK played with Russ. And Justin's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Let's see what's out there. What do you want to pay me, New York Jets? So my whole point in this is congrats to Justin that he's in this position where seemingly the team that traded for him, played him, then benched him, wants him back in the lineup. And now the Jets, there's a lot of the whole football dominoes going on here. So I know it triggers a lot of Bears fans, but I'm in the celebrate the opportunity for Justin moment. I think this guy's going to get some good money wherever he goes.
Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting. I've said for a couple months now that Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers makes a lot of sense to me. And then you started to hear those rumors bubbling to the surface this morning. I think Schefter and a few others were putting out that possibility. To me, while that hadn't really been discussed, it always made the most sense to me. When you looked at the landscape of the NFL, where could Rodgers go? People were like the Raiders or the Giants. I'm like, this guy, Aaron Rodgers, has only got maybe 2 years left. Why would he want to go to a team that isn't ready to win now? And the only team to me that's as quarterback needy and win now ready in the NFL is the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially now where you bring in DK Metcalf.
What about the Vikings? Bring him back.
I don't understand that being even mentioned over the weekend.
It's got a lot of but
why?
Well, because people think that Kevin O'Connell will take him to the next level, and you've got a ton of talent there.
But you drafted J.J. McCarthy.
I know. So right. So are you? I agree. I think they're going to play J.J., but like.
I do too. So then why would you sign Rodgers?
Because honestly, the reason
doesn't make any sense.
So I get why you're saying you would. Because
I'm just telling you that all I'm saying is Aaron on that team with that coaching staff with that talent is a little scary.
I get it. Yeah. It is. But then you're putting them.
He's bad. Am I the only one who watched him last year? He's no longer good.
On the New York Jets.
He's no longer good.
Okay.
He's not the Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers anymore.
But he's worth the risk for the Steelers.
How many yards did he throw for last year? More than any other Bears quarterback in the history of the NFL?
The standard isn't the Bears. The standard isn't the Bears. You can use the Bears as the bar of standard, but most are going to clear that.
I'm pointing out that I agree he's nowhere close to the player he once was. But in that offense for 1 year,
but the point is, it makes more sense for the Steelers because of the quarterback problems they've had. When you look at the Vikings and you look at their head coach and the way they're able to take a talent like, last year with Sam Darnold and make him have the career year he had. Well, they believe they can do that with J.J. McCarthy. And if you brought in Aaron Rodgers, then you're essentially doing what the Green Bay Packers did with Jordan Love, and you're making him be a placeholder until his third or fourth year. And now you don't have an answer on J.J. McCarthy. And now when you finally do figure out who he is, you have to pay him a ton of money, just like the Packers did to Jordan Love, when you really don't know exactly the quarterback that he is.
All fair points.
So, to me...
Except he's coming off an injury, and you don't know where he's at.
I get it. But, to me, Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers makes a lot of sense. I think the Steelers probably would want to bring Justin Fields back, but in the same role they already had him in. So that's, I think, the catch with all that. Like, Justin wants to be a starter in this league, and whether or not he gets that opportunity this year is yet to be determined. But I don't know if the Steelers were saying, hey, we want to bring you back, and you're 100% solidified our starter. I think they like what he brings to the locker room, and they like the role that he was in, and would give him the opportunity to win that job. But I don't know if they would necessarily just give him that job. Now, can Justin Fields go to the Jets or someone of that nature and become the starting quarterback? I mean, I just as a former Bear, I'd be rooting for him, but I don't know if he's going to get that opportunity when you're looking at Russell Wilson and Sam Darnold and Aaron Rodgers and Marcus Mariota and who else is still out there. You know, I think teams are, you know, there's going to be a bit of a dance there.
I know that Rodgers and Mike Tomlin have kind of had a relationship, but the idea of Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens all being on the same team is just
a lot of personality there.
Mike Tomlin's going to have his work cut out for him.
Now, I will say this for the people that, you know, are the hardcore forever believers that Justin Fields has never gotten a fair shake in the NFL. You put him on the Steelers with DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Like, those are the perfect wide receivers for the ability that Justin Fields has. Go up and get it, guys. Throw it deep. Let him go run down the field and go get it. And then you do the rest where you're, you know, working your magic, you know, like the way Lamar Jackson does.
Yeah, those two guys might be the two best 50-50 ball catchers in the NFL. Now they're on the same team. They do kind of the same thing. That kind of opens up the short game for Justin Fields running the ball too. So I mean, it wouldn't be the worst fit for him to stay in Pittsburgh.
He also might want to go have that Ohio State reunion back in New York. What's up, Garrett Wilson? How you doing? Who knows how he's thinking about it? He might just be pissed that they benched him. Nope, not coming back. Sorry, I had to sit here for the rest of the season. Who didn't know it was going to end this way? I mean, who knows? You know, people have their egos. But the fact of the matter is there's a market for Justin, so congratulations to him on that.
Yeah, we'll see where that ends up. I honestly, I think Seattle's a good spot for him, but you know, they seem to be set on Sam Darnold, or at least that was what the reports were as soon as they traded Geno Smith over the weekend.
Poor Jackson Smith and Jigba. They're just like blowing up the Seahawks, and he's like, wait a minute. Wait, we won 10 games last year.
Yeah, but also, I mean, he's going to get every target now.
Yeah, but he also is going
like
to get more double
meme.
teams.
He's just standing in an empty room now.
Yeah,
just looking
exactly.
around.
I had this is on a very serious show. I shouldn't say this, but I you know, with all the NFL news yesterday, and Geno getting traded to the Raiders, I literally had a dream about Pete Carroll last night. Pete Carroll was in my dreams.
You and Pete would get along.
Yeah, I mean, he like couldn't speak, and I'm like, wait a second, Pete, you're not that old. Talk, you're okay. But it wasn't happening. So, but then I woke up and like, okay, Pete Carroll's fine.
Yeah. By the way, Bears are getting a lot of love on Blue Sky.
Let's go Bears.
Brett Coleman said that he's not sure he can handle a reality where the Bears actually have a good offensive line. Our guy Trevor Sikkema said, couldn't have loved what the Bears have done to their O-line more. Basically the best case scenario for a new projected starting five with complete draft flexibility now. Let's talk about that, because I started seeing that right away too on Blue Sky. Yeah, people mentioning Ashton Genty.
Oh, I think that's our most popular chat on the show today.
Well, are you guys now? If Ben Johnson believes that he is a stud running back away from really having this offense humming, and you can make that argument. I mean, you got two good wide receivers now. Your offensive line appears to be in much better shape. I know some people still want to dog Cole Kmet. I think they're pretty solid at tight end with the guys that they have now. And they running back seems to be the one spot where they like really could use like a dog. Well, if they drafted Ashton Genty at 10, would you be more okay with that now?
So yes, I would be a lot more okay with it. They're actually in the position to do it, but it is very clear the Bears' biggest need right now is somebody who can get to the quarterback opposite Montez Sweat. I don't think there's any argument about that. Now, are they going to address it? They still have plenty of money to spend here.
I think they're going to spend money on an edge rusher here, but they might be letting this die down a little bit to help the price tag.
I don't have a problem. If Ben Johnson decides I want to draft Ashton Genty at 10, I'm not going to be mad at the Bears for drafting Ashton Genty. That being said, I don't think Ashton Genty is going to be there at 10, But if you want to play the hypothetical that Ashton Jeanty will be there at 10 and then they have a decision to make, I'm going to stand firm on this. And I'm not going to fall for the bait or get excited about the skill guy. Continue to triple and quadruple down on your trenches. Let's get trench drunk this offseason. And if it's D-line, fine, but I'm more leaning towards offensive line. Leave no stone unturned. You have Braxton Jones coming off an injury, and he's coming up on a year where he potentially needs to get paid, depending on how he plays. You have 3 veteran interior offensive linemen. So why not start rolling over the deck and bringing in some guys that develop behind? And now you have something where your offensive line is a strength for years to come. Injuries happen on the offensive line all the time, every year. The Bears had almost 30 different offensive line combinations last year. So you can have the best offensive line in football, but you can't guarantee they're going to stay healthy for 17 weeks. And so I'm drafting a left tackle, any of them. Take your pick. I don't care who it is. Membo from Missouri, Will Campbell from LSU. You want Josh Simmons if his medical's clear. There's so many different options. You trade back. Gray Zabel. There's so many good options in the first round that we had an opportunity to talk to last week at the Combine. I feel strongly that they need to continue to attack the offensive line.
Listen, all that's fine. I still think that good football teams end up being great football teams, or bad football teams end up being good football teams when you have the draft philosophy of best player available and you get it right. You need, as Hoge, you've been saying for a while, you need difference makers. Jahmyr Gibbs is a difference maker for Detroit. Okay, the Bears have added a bunch
Penei Sewell's a difference maker for that team too.
Exactly, that's right. That's why I'm saying best player available.
Yeah.
That's where you get paid. That's why Ryan Poles gets the big money. Who is a difference maker? If it's a difference maker getting to the QB, if it's a difference maker protecting the QB, it's a difference maker with the ball in his hands. That's what you need. You got a lot of solid now. You've given yourself a chance. The offense should be stabilized, but you still need difference makers.
And to your point, like I'll say this with more certainty as we get closer to the draft, because I remember we went through this last year with Rome Odunze, where I think on draft night I guaranteed he would fall. So where the Bears, just because of the way quarterbacks work. Now the quarterbacks this year are different, so it might not be the same thing.
Right.
But I would say right now, as of March 10th, it's a pretty solid chance that either Mason Graham, Ashton Jeanty, or Will Campbell, one of those 3 will fall to 10.
Sure. That's logical.
And if it's only one, then you take one of those 3. But if there's 2 of them.
But to your point, if it's only one, I'm okay with him taking, whichever one it is that's still there. Because I think that's justified in all 3 spots.
I agree.
Offensive line, defensive line, or if the guys you really loved on the line that are gone there. But I think you also entertain trade back.
You entertain trade back, and if they take Ashton Jeanty, the first round isn't the end-all be-all for my spiel when it comes to offensive line solidifying that for your future. You have 2 second-round picks. There are a ton of good interior offensive linemen or potential left tackles in the second round as well. So, Karan Amagaji, they took a swing on in the 3rd round. I'm not writing him off. He's more than welcome to find what his ceiling is. But at the same time, I'm still looking to upgrade that room. I saw our guy T3P said, they already have 8 offensive linemen. Enough already. No, T3P. It's never enough. Never again. We are going to make sure that this offensive line room is not a problem anymore and be done with it. Check the box and move on to the next one, which is defensive line, defensive edge.
Take the North and never give it back?
Let's just take an offensive line
and never
give them back.
Well, they've been doing that, buddy. This is
right. They backed it up. They showed up at the Combine and said, yeah, we can fix our offensive line in one offseason. And literally 8 days later, they backed it up. Welcome to the Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson.
All right, we got a few that are coming through, all courtesy of Benjamin Allbright here. So Paulson Debo, he goes to the New York Giants. Broncos are closing in with Talanoa Hufanga. Hoge, I know you liked him. and then Robert Spillane to the Patriots.
Okay. Well, the Broncos are a well-run organization that know what they're doing, so good job.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I'd like to.
Hold
I know
on,
Hufanga. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'd like the Bears to look at the safety market here right now.
There's a lot of them.
I think if you're replacing Tevin Jenkins for the same reasons you'd replace Tevin Jenkins, because you can't, all due respect to his talent, which he has a lot of, but you can't trust that he can stay on the field for 17 games, then same all due respect to Jaquan Brisker. Talented player, can't trust him to play 17 games and let alone finish a game. So I need to upgrade at the safety room. You still have Kevin Byard for a year, but you only have him for one more year, and you don't know what you have with Jaquan Brisker in terms of health. I'm looking at this safety free agency class right now if I'm the Bears. I don't know how much money they have, but
I do think it's an underrated need because I think two things can be true at the same time. I think Bears fans really like and respect Jaquan Brisker for the way he plays, for what he's done when he's been healthy. But I think realistically, if you are somebody who's getting paid a lot of money to put the roster together, or if you're defensive coordinator Dennis Allen, who's getting paid a lot of money to coordinate the defense, you have to ask yourself the question, what happens the next time he gets a concussion? And are you prepared for that scenario? Do you feel like you're prepared now? Do you feel like it was good enough last year when because he did miss
half the season?
More than that. I mean, he
basically missed
games, right?
He basically missed the entire year. Excuse me. Wow. Is there any market for Jaquan Brisker? Let's say the Bears decide.
No, I don't think so.
Like you get a 6th round pick for him?
Yeah. No. I would have really liked
bet you
Hufanga because I just think he's a similar type player who kind of plays with his hair on fire all over, always finds the ball. So good signing for the Broncos. By the way, I want to share a tip for everybody who's annoyed with Twitter or getting on Blue Sky for the first time, because I just discovered this, and this is great. But somebody created a tweet deck for Blue Sky.
Yes. Let's go. Tweet deck.
Deck.blue.
Deck.blue.
I'm ready to go.
Get involved.
Kevin Fishbane in our chat, who was doing a live stream on The Athletic earlier that I listened into from Blue Sky. He says, all due respect to Greg Braggs, too. That's right. We're giving all due respects all around. Well, so all due respect to you as well, Kevin, and your Northwestern Wildcats, whose season is over.
It's actually not over. They play Minnesota on Wednesday.
Back up, though.
Oh, yeah, they do play.
Why, if he said all due respect, did he insult you, too?
I don't know.
What's he saying that in reference
to? Typically, when you say all due respect, then it is followed up with an insult.
Just saying.
I got to cut in, guys. We got a big one here. Milton Williams signing with the Panthers.
Wow.
What's the numbers?
No numbers yet.
No numbers?
Free. They signed him for free.
Good signing by the Panthers.
Free
is good.
Milton Williams.
And that's per Diana Rossini, I should mention.
So that's what we're talking about when you say the dominoes. There's a lot of defensive tackles that have come on the market here recently and are available here in free agency. But Milton Williams was the big ticket target for defensive tackles. So that could create the domino effect where you start to hear some of the names fall off the board now. Milton Williams, we're going to find out the money. I'm sure it's a lump sum. Obviously, it's too rich for the Eagles' blood to keep him. So, it's going to be interesting. But you do have some different guys out there like Jonathan Allen, like we said, from Washington that I think could potentially be an option. Or the defensive tackle, Grady Jarrett from the Atlanta Falcons, who 10-year vet that got cut, that could potentially be an option.
Did we mention Dan Moore?
We did not.
Dan Moore off the board. That was the other left tackle. This is a big one. 4 years, $82 million to the Tennessee Titans.
Well, there's another point.
$50 million guaranteed.
Well, the point to that for me is let's just say when we're talking about left tackles with the Bears, let's say Braxton Jones gets healthy. Let's say he has a really good year. Let's say he beats out. Let's say the Bears just stick with Braxton and Carman. They have him compete. Braxton's healthy. Braxton wins. Braxton plays well on a revamped offensive line. Braxton's a free agent. What are you to the money that's being doled out? Are you going to? The Bears are going to be.
Yeah, but if that happens, you can franchise tag him.
Okay, Fair enough. That's an excellent counter to the problem that I was bringing up, and maybe that's what they'll end up doing.
You certainly are.
But
If you're trying to get at the idea that they should extend them now.
No, I'm not.
No, of course not.
I'm not. But I'm talking about like you can franchise tag him, kick the can down the road 1 year, but eventually, like the Bears got to know, like, hey, if Braxton gets healthy and he has a great year, would we ultimately be willing to pay him? If the answer to that is yes, then to me, you're not as focused on drafting a left tackle. But if the answer to that is a sizable no, well, then you do have to get ahead of it.
But that's my point. That's what we were talking about. I mean, the injury certainly adds a whole nother layer to how we feel about Braxton Jones and how the team feels about Braxton Jones moving forward. But Adam, did you feel like before the injury, let's say the injury is not even a thing for Braxton.
Yeah.
Is he a franchise left tackle? Because I personally don't feel like he is.
It depends what you mean by franchise left tackle. I mean, I guess when you say that, you're saying huge money.
Let's
long-term deal. I would say probably not. I need to see more. I'm not ruling it out, but I think probably not after the season he just had. That's why, I'll be honest with you, when he got hurt in that game, my initial reaction was like, wow, that didn't look good. He's getting carted off. There's an air cast. Like, that could be a seismic injury that affects next season. Like, that's what I was thinking of as he's being carted off in that moment.
Well, and here we are. He's slowly working his way back.
Well, and that's my point is now you have the injury, you come in. When is he going to be able to come back and get up to speed with the team? Like, how far does that – I mean, you saw that with Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson last year goes to the Rams, gets paid a lot of money, was hurt going into training camp, lost his job to someone else who outplayed what they thought he was going to do. Now, all of a sudden, they're shifting Jonah Jackson around on the line, and 1 year later, he's gone. So I know it's not the exact comparison, but it's just my point of if you're not ready for the off-season workouts and mini camps and OTAs and the installs, especially for a first-year offense and a first-year head coach, that's going to already put you behind. And especially if they draft an offensive lineman, whether it be in the first round or in the second round, that's now going to compete with you with a guy in Braxton Jones who's already, without the injury, a flawed player. He's solid. I'm not hating on the guy. I think he's serviceable. He's most of the time available until he got hurt last year. But you can't. The last couple years, though, he actually has had more injuries than not. But regardless, now you got a competition up in the air, and I'm all for it. I'm all for bringing in competition against him, and if he wins it, then he wins it. But then I don't know if I'm paying him after next year. But that's a good problem to have if you get to that point.
Yeah. Look, I don't think Braxton – to me, the question is Braxton elite? The answer to that is no, he's not elite. His body's not going to ever let him, I don't think, be elite. The question is, can you win with him? You can't pay everyone. So if you don't have to pay – if you have a guy who, to use the word that you just used, serviceable at left tackle, who you can get by with, help out when you need to, and it frees you up, that he's good enough that you can pay elsewhere, I don't hate it. But the thing is, he you're going to be in a position with Braxton like the Falcons probably were in this year with Drew Dalman, where they decided we're just not going to give you that money.
And stop selling me PFF stats on Braxton Jones. I watched enough Braxton Jones. I don't need PFF grades to tell me who he is as a player. He's a player that needs to get better. Well, PFF grades will have you believing that he's a very, very good left tackle.
Feels like an unresolved spaces conversation.
No, a lot of people use PFF as a site for their reasoning for this, that, and the other. And so my whole point is, if you want to give Braxton Jones the opportunity this year with a healthy offensive line of talented players next to him now and a play caller that presumably knows what he's doing, I'm all for that. He deserves that opportunity. And if he shows that he's a much better player in a much healthier environment, then we can have a different discussion next year. But as it stands right now, he's a player, to me, that is replaceable and needs to get better.
Let's get a big money super chat in here from Total Malarkey. We'll take your super chats. I remember last year's free agency show. We had like 100.
We went over 100.
It was insane.
Let's get them in.
So we'll do similar to what we do on the post game shows. We'll get some of the bigger money ones in here on the show, and then they'll all make the screen at some point, even if they aren't addressed verbally. But Total Malarkey coming in $20. The Brisker talk is very similar to the Packers with Bakhtiari. When he played, he was top 10, but he only played 13 games over 3 seasons, plus some games where he only played a key drive or two. Got to move on at that point. There's some similarities there, and one of the big differences is they paid him, Bakhtiari, and it was after they paid him that became a huge problem. So I think that's when we talk about Brisker. He's still on a second-round contract, and you certainly can't even be really talking about extending him.
I mean, it's mostly a win. It's a good draft pick. He's been a contributor when he's been on the field, but it's hard to imagine the Bears would be willing to pay him once the contract is up. It's hard to imagine that he's going to be able to stay on the field. I hope he does. You're not going to get a whole lot for him, as we already discussed, so I think he's here next year. You might as well roll the dice and see if you can get one more good season out of him. And obviously best to Jaquan to stay healthy and all that, because he's an extremely likable guy. I would also, unsolicited advice for Jaquan, I would delete your Twitter account. You don't need to be talking on Twitter. You don't need to be giving your opinion on players. It doesn't help you. What do you... But
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if his reaction to that is that you should do the same thing.
Yeah, like seriously,
no,
you can't just.
This is actually. I don't even disagree with that. I should delete my Twitter.
Not to turn this into a Twitter spat, but a minute ago when I cited PFF and you were saying this is a Twitter argument, like who cares?
I said a Spaces argument, like
whatever. That's Twitter. Like okay, so
I'm talking about you with your friends. I'm
about
talking
what Brisker
tweets. If I was the Chicago Bears, I would pay attention to what my players are saying publicly, and what he's been saying publicly is a little whack. It just is.
Well, it's always like in
turned into Brandon Marshall.
You can't even say whether or not he's talking about the Bears in half of his tweets. They're all cryptic.
He was talking about it when he was like, "Go get Tevin." Just
the Tevin thing.
Okay, just
well,
relax.
most of his stuff is like cryptic.
Two rules when it comes to the players. Okay, one is when they tweet something cryptic, it's always about football. And two is when they say it's not about the money, it always comes back to the money.
I'm not calling it.
That's one thing. So that's just some advice from Carman. Do we have another free agent alert?
Yeah, we got Carlton Davis, corner. He's signing with the Patriots. 3 years, $60 million.
I like Carlton Davis. Not necessarily a need for the Bears, but that's Patriots spending some money.
Yeah.
Also, since we're on the safety talk, can we just talk about Kevin Byard? Because he's a guy that I said was a cut candidate. You could save $7 million. He's got a dead cap hit of $1.5 million. For me, there's some safeties out there in the market right now that you could get that are better than Kevin Byard for less. And one of them that comes to mind for me, and I know he's older, but he's still, I think he's a year younger than Byard, is Justin Simmons. Multiple-time All-Pro. You could get him, I saw market projections for him 1 year, $6 million in a prove-it contract.
Yeah.
I mean, for $7 million in savings, do we kind of take a look at Kevin Byard as a cut candidate?
I just think, like we've been talking about with the uncertainty of Jaquan Brisker, I'm willing to replace Brisker, but if you're going to replace Byard,
we're just creating another hole. And here's the thing about Byard is I like Byard in that locker room. Yep. I like his honesty. I think with better coaching, that'll mesh better. Let's not forget, he was the one that publicly called out Flus after the defense he was in before the Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Byard's a professional. You are sure you could save a couple of dollars here, but for what? How much better of a player? I don't think that's happening.
By the way, if you cut him before Friday, you do get $7 million in cap savings. Friday, his guarantee, he's got some guaranteed money that kicks in Friday, and so at that point it wouldn't make any sense. I think you only save about 3.3, and then you're giving him some extra money. So I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does happen, it'll be done before Friday. I think that's something you would have done already, similar to what the Eagles did with him last year, giving him a chance to get out there on the market. I just think you're creating another problem there.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the Kevin Byard Chicago Bears experience. It came out of nowhere last year. They didn't pay him a ton of money.
They gave him $15.5 million over two years.
Yeah, okay. I mean, whatever. I guess maybe for a veteran safety, it was on the high end, but it's still not a lot of.
It ended up being the right move at the time because the alternative could have been keeping, Eddie Jackson, and well, that didn't work out for him there.
Well, they got
signed by Baltimore. And
they did not keep Eddie 1 year too late. They had that one right, or maybe they even did.
They probably did.
Let me ask you this: if we can transition, do you either of you want the Bears to trade for Trey Hendrickson? What would you give up? Would you give up one of your second round picks and then sign Trey Hendrickson to a big time deal?
We did this conversation on Friday. Have you pivoted from your position on this? Hoge wants him, right?
Yes. I mean, it's always like it depends. I need to know what the money is attached to this. But
85 guaranteed over 3 years.
Yeah, but sometimes I want to stay on brand here too. I want the Bears to get good players. I want them to get all pros. He is an all pro. He led the NFL in sacks last year. So maybe we don't have to overthink this too much. Is he worth the second round pick? Is he worth a crap ton of money? Probably. He's good. He's going to get after the quarterback. He's going to make the defense a lot better. I would rather have him over in a vacuum. I'd rather have him over Khalil Mack at this point.
Yeah. Look, it's not a winning formula to trade draft picks and pay huge money to guys who are 30 years old. Okay, that's not sustainable long term.
But there are exceptions.
And
it's not like he's 34, and he's definitely the guy who should be an exception.
As I was going to say, but there are exceptions.
Yeah.
And you need somebody opposite Montez to get to the quarterback. I mean, as the numbers come in on Milton Williams? Does that happen?
I haven't seen him yet.
Well, I mean,
still free?
I think
Still
more
free.
so you're looking at what Myles Garrett got yesterday, which was
$40 million rough, but more so 33 and yada yada. You can get
less than that.
That's why. So we're saying
Right.
25 to 30 somewhere in there. It's going to be a lot of dough.
And then I think when you talk about pushing your chips all in, because you're doing that, if you're trading for a 30-year-old defensive end that obviously is a game wrecker and a good player, but you're not giving up multiple first-round picks like you did for Khalil Mack once upon a time, right? So you have an opportunity there to your defense. I mean, the first half of last year, until the Hail Mary game, they were a top 5 defense in the league. And then by the end of the second half of the year, they were a bottom 5 defense in the league through injuries to Andrew Billings, losing their defensive play caller and Matt Eberflus, and, the team ultimately just letting go of the rope in general. But, this team does have potential to be a top-end defense, especially when you bring in a guy like Dennis Allen, who's had, success. And then you talk about his connection with Trey Hendrickson as well. And we've seen it. I mean, look at Ryan Poles here right before the year started last year. He tried to trade for Matthew Judon. He tried to give up a second-round pick. So if you're getting in the mind of Ryan Poles, he's got an itchy trigger finger when it comes to this. He traded for Montez Sweat for a second-round pick. He thinks, for whatever fans think in terms of how ready this team is to win now, Ryan Poles thinks there is an opportunity here. So, and you still have your picks. You still have a first-round pick. Still have a second-round pick. You're not giving up future first-round picks. So just having talked this through with you guys, I'd be for it. And I'd like it to happen in the next 35 minutes.
Well, let me put it this way. Trey Hendrickson has had back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons. The Bears have never had back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons. The closest was Richard Dent in 84 and 85, 17 and then 17.5. I mean, this guy could be, and I get it. He's approaching 30. He could be one of the best pass rushers we've ever had.
Well, what's also, when you go look at his numbers, who'd he do it alongside? Not a whole lot. So that makes you think, like, yeah, okay, 30 years old, but he can come. You would think that he could come in here and give you a couple of productive years, which, look, let's you want to dream it big. You go out and you trade whatever, 41 for Trey or 39. and you pay him, and maybe you draft Mason Graham at 10. All right. With the revamped offensive line, you got a whole revamped defensive line. You got rotational pieces in Gervon Dexter. I mean, you got
Andrew Billings.
Right. I mean, you got.
I love Andrew Billings.
You're cooking right there. I mean, who's going to step up and impact big? I mean, I don't know where you guys come out on Mason, but that's an interesting name.
Right, and then you still have your second round pick. You still have another second round pick. You have next year's draft, like, to just keep reloading. So, I that's what's exciting is, I mean, the Bears, it just feels like they have such a long way to go because they won 5 games, and that was some humble pie.
I have a question for you on that coming up here in a second.
All right.
On that exact thing, I was thinking about it in the car driving down today. Real quick, though, I want to reset. We got almost 6,000 people watching this live show right now. Some of you might be new to CHGO. If you are, please hit that subscribe button. We do a Bears show every single day, Monday through Friday, and all of our other teams here in Chicago, too. We have them covered. Bulls, Blackhawks, baseball. We got it all for you here at CHGO. So make sure you are subscribed. We also have a diehard membership, which takes your fandom to the next level. And to celebrate the start of free agency, we have a limited time intro offer for you today. $36 for the entire year. And you get that right now at allchgo.com/intro. allchgo.com/intro. Part of our diehard content is Fran Duffy's draft guide, which is a full database full of prospects, insane information, and it's updated in real time as he adds to it. You get access to all of that, plus a free t-shirt when you sign up, 20% off all merch all the time, 20% off all of our events, which will include our draft party coming up in April. So a ton of reasons to sign up. If you've ever been on the fence, now is the time, because we got that intro offer for you this week, allchgo.com/intro.
It also gives you access to our Discord, which you can go into the Bears channel, and
which has been very helpful today, by the way, the Discord, with Twitter being down.
Let's go Discord.
Our Discord.
Twitter's back up, by the way.
It isn't.
Don't tell people that. Discord. Where it's at.
You get into our Discord Bears channel, and you will meet some of the most passionate Bears fans on the planet and have some of the most interesting conversations where we all join in and talk to them as well.
And send all your complaints to Pat Norton. Speaking of Pat, he's got a free agent tracker going on right now, too, allchgo.com. Is that open to everybody, or is that a diehard deal?
Patrick.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free. So you don't even need to be a diehard. Check out our we'll have reactions. He's writing some stuff up on Dalman, too, and I'll add to it when we're done with this show.
Michael Phillips says if Carm stops singing and doing the harmonica, he'll become a diehard. Michael, Carm promises to never do either of those things if you sign up right now.
Yeah.
Carm will
no take backs.
Lie to you and say that I'll do that. No problem. You got it. Just let me know when you're signed up, and we'll go back to the harmonica.
I saw some people.
I had a great harmonica yesterday by myself, and I thought about sending it in and posting it, and I didn't because it was so off the rails. But it was one of my more entertaining moments of the day by myself. Thank you very much. So just know that there are solo harmonicas going on that don't get posted, which should make you happy, Hoge.
Yeah, I never want to see those ever again. I might just block you someday, which should be fine.
That's on the table.
Over 1,000 likes. Keep those going up. We appreciate you, and we'll get back to the conversation right now and stop talking about harmonicas.
Harmonicas. Thank you.
Harmonicas.
Show some respect.
There's only one.
I trademarked it. It's going to be big. T-shirts coming.
All right. Question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys, and I actually want to ask this like more in the context of even before these signings and trades have been made, but like when the season was over and you look back on everything that had happened and it was a wild ride, I want to make sure I'm phrasing this the right way. Not just the Bears are what they were last year. Obviously, your record, you are what your record says. But going forward, as you kind of spun into 2025, you think the Bears were closer to the team that left London 4-2 or the team that lost 10 games in a row? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Because, look, the easy answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Realistically, what they should have been is somewhere in the middle of that.
Well, I'll give you a very simple.
But the reason why I'm asking the question is because they're being picked right now by a lot of people, especially now that they've really helped fix their offensive line, as a team that can turn it around next year. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think there was a lot of evidence that was already in the works last year, and coaching just held them back so far that it just all fell apart, which can happen in the NFL.
Well, it was three things, in my opinion: coaching, culture, and quarterback. The Bears could have made a huge jump last year, but coaching held them back, the culture crumbled, and their quarterback wasn't ready for that moment. And you can say, well, the quarterback would have been if there would have been better coaching or if there had been better culture, and all those things are true. But ultimately, for this year, those same three things will apply for if this team can reach their ceiling. If they have good coaching and they have a strong culture and they have a quarterback that takes another step, a much bigger step around a team that's very talented, they have every right to win 10 games. But they got to prove it. They've got to go out there here this summer and earn it. And I just think from a focus, we can look at the coaches last year all we want, and they certainly held their responsibility for the failures of last year. But I just don't want the players to rest on those laurels. I want them to take personal accountability heading into this summer and have a chip on their shoulder for that 10-game losing streak, and not just put it on the coaches of last year, and put it on themselves to say, that won't happen again. And we're going to make sure that this year is everything we wanted last year to be.
Look, I'm not trying to give Matt Eberflus or anybody. What's that?
So do you think they were more of the 4-2 team that
Yeah,
left London, or
more of the 4-2? Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I think Greg has made it very clear how he feels about the culture.
Yeah,
I think that has been established pretty much every day since last season ended and beyond.
Well, because it's not something you can get. Like you can't add culture in free agency.
Yes, you can.
It's something that has to be earned as a team, and so
it starts with coaching, and then you have to have the right players. And
you absolutely can bring in guys who you want in your locker room who will greatly impact the culture, which is what they've done in a good player, a very good player in Joe Thuney. Look, to answer your question from my standpoint, very hard to do because we're still trying to figure out the quarterback. If Caleb is that, they're the 4-2 team. If he ain't that, if he's the guy that's going to hold on to it too long and get sacked, not 68 times this year, but 50 some odd times, well then they're
in the 40s at least.
Yeah.
But when you talked about last year, even leading into last year, what Caleb Williams' floor is, through all the turmoil, through all the adversity, through all the bad coaching and bad
I
culture,
think I was justified on that.
I agree. That's where I was getting to, is through all that and through his own faults and flaws of last year, not being ready as a first-year quarterback in certain areas, he's still floor-wise, you can call him garbage yards or empty calorie stats or whatever. He's shown the ability to play a much higher level of quarterback play than we're used to here in Chicago. So ultimately, I think his floor personally is someone of like a Jay Cutler, where, Jay was somebody that made mistakes, wasn't perfect, but could move the ball down the field and score touchdowns. You put a good team around Jay, they almost got to a Super Bowl. His ceiling is untapped of anything we've ever seen in this city. Right. And can he reach that? Well, the hope is that Ben Johnson and him become this superpower, and then the answer will be yes. I can't. You're asking me, and I get you want me to give you the answer on, are they the 4-2, almost 5-2 team, or I don't think they're a 10-loss-in-a-row team. The 10-loss-in-a-row team was a team that just gave up on the coaches and each other and said, we're done. I don't think they're a 10-loss team in a row. But are they a 5-2 team trending towards 9 or 10 wins? I definitely think they're much closer to that than a 10-win team, 10-loss-in-a-row team.
Listen, if we're just about the quarterback, in his last 11 games, he threw one interception, and the one interception was against the Seahawks on the final play of the game, where he basically just threw a jump ball miracle that he had to throw. That is I would call a big-time positive. His best stretch of the season last year, you had the 3 wins in a row, and the Jaguars game, I remember walking into the tunnel, going to the Bears locker room next to our guy Dan Wiederer, who's never the most positive or optimistic Bears guy. He's like, I remember him saying to me, the quarterback is real, because literally everybody thought that at the time. Mm-hmm. 4 touchdown passes. They roped the Jaguars 35-16.
He also threw one of his worst passes the entire year in that game.
He did. DJ Moore was wide open.
That's Cutler, though, right? That was exact. Sorry for cutting you off. That is who Cutler was.
Yeah, but Jay would not necessarily throw that ball. He'd throw.
Hell yeah, he would.
He'd be that.
He'd throw balls where you thought he had a blindfold on.
Yeah, but that was just a miss.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bad decision. Cuddy made horrible decisions.
Cuddy would fire one into 3 guys and it would get picked up. This was DJ Moore was wide open for 7 seconds. He never threw it, and then he lobbed one up like he was. It was awful. Yeah. But whatever, it didn't matter. It was one throw. He was 23 of 29 in the game. They put up 35 points. They were 4-2. You felt like you had the dude, and then Washington happened, but he did bring him back in that game twice. They died against the Cardinals. They died against New England. But then his 3 best games brought him back. Yeah, the block against the Packers, should have beaten them. Brought him back. Got it to overtime against Minnesota. Did go 3 and out, but it was still an impressive thing with the Vikings. And then you went on the road, Detroit, brought him back in that game too, and then couldn't figure out how to call timeout.
You define them as his 3 best games of the year. Those were his 3 most explosive games of the year because they were the 3 best second halves of the season. But all 3 of those games, not only did they lose, but they were also all 3 terrible first halves, right? The best game of the year was the London game.
Yeah,
but we need consistency.
Sure.
Sure. His capabilities are explosiveness. That's why I'm saying, he's capable of anything Jay ever did here, but it's about developing this consistency with Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think that everything here is fair. I need him to do 2 things for me. If he only does 2 things for me in 2025, take fewer sacks and improve the accuracy on the deep balls. If he does those 2 things, I think the Bears are going to be doing really well on offense.
I would add a third. If you look,
you only get 2.
I'm putting a third in there, then I'd get rid of one of your 2. I'm not sure which one. I'd have to go back and listen to the tape on what you just said. But
said 2 things.
I understand. He needs to become a master of the offense. Be the guy that understands what the hell Ben Johnson wants to do. If he gets to that level in the time that they spend in this offseason, in that office, at Hallis Hall, becoming best friends.
But that doesn't happen overnight. That's why I'm taking baby steps here. Just 2 things.
Take fewer sacks. Get better on deep balls.
Take fewer sacks. Better accuracy on deep balls. Thank you, Greg.
Way to go, Gregory.
You 2 just swap bodies there for 30 seconds.
I was listening.
Weird.
Not a free agent deal, but J.C. Horn signs a 4-year, $100 million contract, $70 million guaranteed. That makes him the highest paid corner in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
With the Panthers.
Yep. Yeah. I remember when J.C. Horn was in the draft, and I was thrilled the Carolina Panthers took him. But he's been a good player. A lot of dough. Hey, look, where are you?
That was the pick that led to the Bears getting Justin Fields.
Right. That's why it was popping in my head. I knew there was some massive relevance.
And then the Broncos taking Surtain, which has worked out.
Let's rewind back for a second here and ask Hoge this question that he asked us. What do you think? 4-2 or 10 losses in a row?
I think they're closer to that 4-2 team, with the caveat that we also have to consider that 4-2 record and the teams that they beat to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's right where they should have been. They should have beaten Washington. They should have beaten Arizona. They should have beaten the New England Patriots, obviously. But they were going to go through their tough stretch down this. We all knew that schedule was hard. So some of those losses you knew were going to come. So they finished 1-5 in the division. 2-4 probably would have been more, and even 3-3, because look, they had those 3 games. They should have beaten Detroit at least once. They should have beaten the Packers. They get the kick block. They were right there against the Vikings. So you could certainly say the 2 more NFC North wins would have made sense. So I think they are closer to that 4-2 team that we saw coming home from London, with the understanding that we all knew in that moment that they weren't, the playoffs weren't guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. But the point of that whole conversation is to just set up the fact that, even after signing Dalman here, we don't even know what the specifics are of the contract and the signing bonus in terms of the cap space still available. There's still plenty of room here to work with the cap, to work with the draft capital they have, and I think they're already the much better team.
Well, there's no question. I mean, you've got if Ben Johnson isn't a better coach than Matt Eberflus, we should fold the podcast right now. That would be a bad development. If the offensive line isn't better than last year, we should hire Greg Braggs to lead the country or something along those lines.
Whatever you need.
Yeah. So I mean, look, they absolutely are better. How much better and plus, let's just think logically. The quarterback is going to be better in year 2. The wide receiver who you drafted last year should be a lot better in year 2. I would like to think that Trevon Dexter makes another major step forward in year 3. Who knows? I saw that look.
Another major step?
Well, his first year was just dirt. This year,
I need more out of Trevon Dexter. I'm sorry.
I completely agree. But if you go 1-2, he did get better. He needs to get okay.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's a major step.
Okay, fine. I like when you get in the weeds here. A larger.
He was on track after like 3-4 weeks. It was like, yeah, this guy's maybe onto something, and then
it fell apart.
Don't remember seeing him in November or December.
I saw him at Hallis Hall in the locker room a couple of times, but yes, you're right, on the field, I didn't see him a whole lot. Fair enough. A bigger step forward from year 2 to 3 than he did from 1-2. That's if you want to put it like that. That's totally fair. Thank you, Butch Hampton. I appreciate that. I do think I'm a better coach than Flus.
I mean,
he's a better beekeeper, though. Give him that. Better hair.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Is this a good moment, Steven, to talk about what these two have done to me over the years?
Yeah, this looks like a good time for it.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Well,
you're blaming us? I didn't know this was part of the show.
I don't know. I'll let Steven take it over, actually.
Yeah, well, we were going through some of the old tape from our first free agency show.
Because we watched the tape. I mean, we go back, we watch the tape.
Right.
We learn how we can get better or worse.
I talked about doing that in a meeting.
And
haven't done it, but I talked about it.
Well, what I found out was, Adam, you have aged, significantly since sitting next to these two.
Oh
God.
Yeah, you ready for a much younger Hoge here? I'm gonna split screen this, all right?
Younger Hoge.
Just so you could see the difference between the two.
There's me now.
Look at yourself.
Look at you. Oh boy.
Yeah, I do blame you guys. So that's year 1?
This is 3 years ago, so this would be 2022.
2022.
What about the Bears? I mean, the Bears have a hand in this.
I mean, I think you should send that honestly to Kevin Warren and say, look, this is what's happened. We really would like to have you on the show along with your general manager and head coach. And if you could all come, because look at the real impact that this football team has put on you.
Can we show that one more time?
Yeah, no problem.
It's pretty stunning.
Once it starts to happen, buddy, it doesn't stop happening.
See, now my wife would say that she likes that.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, I know. They all say that.
Sophisticated.
They all say it's it's Gray's in.
Now,
believe me, I hear it all the time. It's nauseating.
The other two of you
that guy over there
aren't immune to this either.
Uh-oh.
So, Carm, I did find a young version of yourself as well here.
Young Carm?
I'd also say the lighting in the studio has improved drastically.
Yeah,
too.
well, we have new lights. That's. Are you ready for young Carm here?
Sure.
This is off-camera Carm, but here we go.
What the hell?
So that was my White Sox onesie.
So you've changed in that, too. You're a Cubs fan now?
I root for both teams.
Boo.
I was thinner there. Love that guy over there. That dude's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
And it also created a brand new Carm hit the like, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's big.
Look at that.
It's like disco Carm.
What? Where were you searching for that? Where is that?
I was doing deep research.
Deep
All right?
dives.
Is that in Hoge's phone?
No, I had nothing to
way
do
you're-
with that.
the
I've
way-
never seen that photo.
No, all
So
of
wait,
this.
you don't have one of him on the show here where it's showing him aging from a couple years ago?
I mean, that's
All
before
right.
I started working.
I mean,
for the record,
yeah, that was before he was working here for sure.
that was when
Yeah,
I was
and then-
married.
What about
There's all sorts of things about that photo that are triggering me right
And
now.
if you've got a before and after with me, I used to have working legs.
Yeah, and I do. And you've changed quite a bit, Braggs.
Yeah,
has
So, I
he?
mean, yeah, well, you'll see the difference right here.
yeah.
I mean, I've got pictures where
Got Dr.
Look at this guy.
Pepper.
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened to you? Oh, my God.
Now I drink Dr. Pepper.
0.
0, thank you. Mm-hmm. Looking good there.
You gonna drink that Dr. Pepper blackberry stuff that they've been advertising?
That doesn't sound good.
Oh, come on.
But Hogue, and I didn't tell you guys about this. This unfortunately isn't done because through the magic of AI and science, I've been able to kind of predict what you're going to look like 3 years from now.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I'm scared.
as long as I'm
I
looking.
do think I'm kind of in my prime right now, and I don't like where it's gonna go.
You have-
Are you ready for this?
future Hogue
Ready.
Because
picture.
I've got a theory here.
Future Hogue.
I think Carm is contagious. You're Carmtagious. Here it is.
It's like the plague.
Oh,
Oh man.
did you AI me and Carm?
I photoshopped it.
So
That's actually Carm's hair.
I never had that hair on set. That's hard to believe, but apparently I did. You
Wait, look to the side again.
It's like an
Hogue.
animal on your
you
head.
should grow. You should
Wait.
grow it out. See what you can do.
Wow.
Get rid of that fade. Step it up.
Oh, I want to vomit looking at that.
Yeah.
Hogue, what would you say to your future self if you could look him right in the eyes right now? Which you can.
I mean, just go to a different barber
Yeah,
I love my barber.
and stop playing the harmonica.
Sheena does a great job over there at the Midtown
having a
Athletic
good
Club.
barber is key.
Shout out Sheena Midtown. I'm surprised you guys are allowing this chicanery in the middle of this big breaking free agency
Well, I mean,
show.
it,
I
it
love
was,
it.
it was
I love
good
this is
timing.
happening.
Because I was working through a special guest that'll be joining us here in just a little bit to get us
really?
up to speed here on free agency. He joined us at the NFL Combine, and Benjamin Allbright, NFL insider, will be joining us here in just a little bit.
Matter of moments.
Not a matter of moments. I'd say about 15 minutes or so, working through some things. He's a bit under the weather, but he's going to tough it out for us. We were talking about him jumping on here for the last week or so, and I've been staying in contact with him. Good dude. He's been breaking a lot of stuff. And when you talk about guys you can trust, you know, he said this morning, he was like, I think the Bears will be announcing Drew Dalman, and this is something you heard at the Combine as well. So, you know, Ben's been on the nose on a lot of things. I mean, he called Ben Johnson to the Bears very early this season. And, you know, we've been talking about Twitter so much here on the show. He had it on as his pinned tweet
Yeah.
for like 4 months. So he was calling a shot, and he wasn't backing off it when Vegas tried to pull a bait and switch.
Little bit of a drop of Bears news here, Hogue, if I may. How do you feel about that?
I would like Bears news on a Bears show. Yes, I
That'd be great.
approve. I approve of that.
But I think Steven's got a free agency. Let's do that first because this Bears news is not going to trump what Steven's got. Go ahead.
Well, this does affect the Bears. Former Jets corner DJ Reed signing with the Detroit Lions, 3 years, $48 million.
So that
significant signing.
So that's an interesting part to this. Not so much DJ Reed, but which is interesting too. But I do wonder, and you can't operate by going to get players that might end up in Green Bay and or Detroit. But I know you're confused where I'm going here, Hogue. But there was just a lot of rumors and thoughts and people speculating that Trey Hendrickson could end up A, in Detroit, B, in Green Bay. And I do wonder how real that is. And if it is real, like, would the Bears be more aggressive considering they wouldn't want him in the division if that actually is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I do think when you're competing, if you know you're competing against the division rival for a player versus, you know, competing against the Denver Broncos for a player, that you got to at least think about it.
Right.
Makes a difference.
Am I willing to pay a little bit more? Am I willing to give up that second-round pick that I don't want to give up because I don't want Trey going to the Lions to help them out in their revamped, resurgent, healthy offensive line. And, Trey obviously a ton in Green Bay too. So, that, as we sit here, and I don't know how long we're going to sit here. I'm assuming it's going to be until 5 o'clock this afternoon, something of that ilk. No, okay, but for a little while longer, like that, where he ends up is, it's.
What's the biggest thing still sitting out there?
It's the biggest thing out there.
What's the Bears news you have?
Well, the Bears have just released a little while ago that they have named quarterback Kyler Gordon as the team's recipient of the 2024 Ed Block Courage Award. The honor recognizes one player from each team who embodies the qualities of Ed Block, which, of course, Greg, which is courage, compassion, commitment, and community service. And the reason why I'm reading it, outside of this, congrats to Kyler being a good dude and a good football player, it's an interesting name as far as extensions go, perhaps at some point here with Kyler. I don't know if they will be doing that, depending on how much money they have left. But at some point, you might want to consider locking Kyler Gordon down on a long-term deal.
Well, usually doing an extension can help you, too, in terms of cap space and things like that.
Cap space, cost certainty, all these things. So, anyway, Kyler getting the Ed Block Courage Award, and I think that's an interesting name the rest of the way here as far as would the Bears consider extending him to try to get him on a deal that they think he's worth and giving themselves some flexibility going forward.
I can see that being something that gets handled in training camp, preseason.
Sure.
Something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. You didn't listen to any of that.
Ed Block Courage Award.
Hey, it happened. It's in my email box. It's from the Bears.
We don't have a CHGO Courage Award, but you would probably get it.
I get it today. I'm like Professor X. Look at this thing.
I'd probably give it to Jenny before you, but
are you wheeling towards the camera?
She's got the real courage.
Jenny is here. Yes, I am gonna wheel towards.
You are good. There's a 90% chance something.
It's a bad
breaks.
idea.
Something's breaking.
Terrible
idea. Give me
idea.
the ISO camera.
Why are we doing
Give
this?
Me the ISO. Oh, maybe then I won't do it. Forget it. You know what?
No, go ahead.
No, I want to see something break.
You want to see something break? Look at it. Oh, the camera's not working. Of course. Can't have a little fun here. But I have been getting good with this thing.
You're here.
They weren't
in a wheelchair.
Initially, when I went into the surgery on Friday, they said they weren't going to be able to save my meniscus. But since they were able to, now I can't put weight on my left leg here for 6 weeks. So this is where we're at. Now I'll be rolling around the city.
Yeah, if you were tougher, you would just said get rid of it.
They asked me. They said, they were like, hey, we don't have to. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you not to save my meniscus. So here we are. ACL's fixed, I guess, and my meniscus.
Better player, DJ Reed, Carlton Davis. DJ Reed, Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis?
Well, Carlton Davis? Okay. The Lions lost Carlton. They replaced him with DJ, basically. So
now they have DJ Reed and DJ Reader.
That's a lot for.
I was confused with that as well when you guys read that off.
Well, if the Bears sign Josh Sweat, they'll have Montez Sweat and Josh Sweat.
That's fine. Not as confusing as DJ Reed and DJ Reader.
It's actually more confusing because it's the same name.
We're confused about different things.
Well, that's an understatement. Yeah.
You know what we're not confused about there? Chim Richards, as you Lions troll us with your Bears are going to the Super Bowl, right? Hey, so far, best off season right here, buddy.
Well, you know who's never been to the Super Bowl?
Third year in a row.
You know who's never been to the Super Bowl, Chim Richards? Is the Lions. So you can ask about what the Bears are doing. Maybe one day your team will actually get there. And I felt bad for your team, but now I don't.
Okay.
After
let's
your
get to some
comment.
Super Chats here while we wait for Benjamin
let's knock
Allbright.
out some Super
Because
Chats.
probably after Ben, we'll probably close up this edition of the stream. I have a feeling we're not done today. But
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Any moment.
Tim D, $5 says Milton Williams not done. Now I lost it.
Sorry, Milton Williams not done yet. Arizona Mini still involved. Could that be holding up a Josh Sweat deal? Yeah, Diana Rossini reported that the deal is not done yet, but I've seen some other reports saying it's pretty close.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Oh.
But yes, it could be holding things up because one door closes, another one opens. There's an order to all this for sure.
Do you expect the Bears to be in on Josh Sweat? Nobody really does.
Why does nobody?
I just have not heard a lot of noise around Josh Sweat and the Bears.
Well, they have what, like $26 million left now after the Drew Dalman signing?
Yeah.
$14 million deal. They're at like right over 40 before this.
That doesn't mean it couldn't happen, for the record.
They still need to fill out the rest of the roster too. I mean, they might have room for one more big contract, but that's about it.
Yep. All right. Calm down, Beavis. $10. I'm very pleased with the O-line pickups now. The first 2 picks better be D-line. No sexy picks. Build the beef.
I like beef.
That could be our next CHGO T-shirt.
Build the beef. I mean, we could do like a sequenced video of someone who's build the beef.
That's a weird thing to say out loud. I'm not Pop. $10. There aren't any tackles that are going to impact the game as much as Genty in this class. We need game-changing players. Not reaching for a player like Simmons, Banks out of supposed need. Best player available.
I haven't agreed with I'm not Pop for a while, so let me continue the trends. And there's a drop in nuance here, Bears fans. I'm trying to give myself a little bit of a window here. But the Ashton Genty highlights that I watched, I'm not sold that this is the dude. Are you?
Ashton Genty?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Genty. I like Genty. I don't think he's Saquon Barkley. I don't think he's Bijan Robinson level.
Like,
I'm not even sure he's Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's not. He's not as fast.
Yeah.
I need to watch more, admittedly. So I'm reserving the right to change my opinion. But what I've seen so far, I don't see him as worthy of a top 10 pick. Plus the fact of how much running back depth there is.
I think it's just prospect fatigue with Ashton Genty, hype fatigue. I think he's a great player. Is he LaDainian Tomlinson? No.
Yeah, but that's the type of guy you take early in the draft. It's running back.
Right.
It's got to be.
You're saying is he? I don't think he's Bijan Robinson. I think he meets that mark. I don't know if he meets LaDainian Tomlinson mark. I agree. If he's LaDainian Tomlinson, then you're drafting him at 10. The hard part is to try to evaluate whether or not he is playing at Boise State in the competition he's playing against. But you talk about, I mean, he is the total package as a running back. He'd be a great player for Chicago. There are other great running backs in the draft that could pop off, and you take one in the first round when you could take one that's just as effective in the third round. Take Cam Scattaboo in the third round. You know, you see Baldy's breakdown of him yesterday. It was great. You know, like we talked to him obviously at the combine, but you know, there's other options. I mean, it's a loaded running back class. I get that, but I don't think that takes away from how good of a player Ashton Genty is.
Yeah, I hate to say it though. I just think that the way some of these moves have fallen now, I don't think Genty's going to even be an option for the Bears. I think he's going to go to the Raiders at number 6 now. They're going to start building around Geno Smith, Brock Bowers over there. They need a running back. I think if the season started right now, their starting running back would be Sincere McCormick.
Who?
Yeah, so they need someone in that backfield. McCormick. It was Alexander Madison, and that just did not go well for the Raiders.
All right, Brock McIntosh, $10 super chat. Eagles had a tier 1 offensive line in 2023. And Swift's rushing yards over expected over attempts were negative 0.29 yards. His 2024, blah, 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 we're dead last. Let's take a swing at running back in the draft.
I agree. They should.
And it's a great point, Brock, and I think that stat matters when it matches the tape. I made this observation, and I've said this before, but being at Lambeau, having that different vantage point in Week 18 and just watching him from above, there's a lot of yards left out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was stunning to me.
Yep.
Like, I turned over to Adam Johns in, like, the second quarter, and I'm like, it's just, you could see where the running lanes are and where they're developing, and he's just not hitting it all the time. He always wants to go outside.
He had some great moments, but they were too few and too far between. And you need another running back, period.
But I think the guy that I still feel like you can find a complimentary back who's still really, really good in the second round.
Maybe in the 5th round.
Well, and I think
Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th-round pick.
Well, and I think the other question,
but
and maybe
Pacheco's not Saquon Barkley.
I understand.
Well, and I think the other question, and maybe this is a conversation for when we get deeper into the offseason and trying to figure out the kind of offense that Ben Johnson wants to run. Is this going to be a zone running team or is this going to be a gap running team? Because in Detroit, right, all teams are both. But what are they going to be predicated on? What's their foundation? Because in Detroit, Ben Johnson was a gap scheme. But they just brought in a center that is more of a zone run blocking guy. And Joe Thuney comes from the Kansas City Chiefs, more of a zone running team. So Ben Johnson said, hey, this isn't going to be the Lions offense. This is going to be the Chicago Bears offense. So DeAndre Swift is also a zone running back. So, like, to me, I don't know where this is going in that regard, but it'll be interesting to see how Ben Johnson approaches it once the team comes together.
Yeah, for me, I mean, the Bears need a bruiser as a complement to DeAndre Swift. Hoge, you mentioned DeAndre Swift wants to run outside. That's his strength. Catch the ball and then run outside. They need someone who can run between the tackles. You look at Swift last year, 2.5 yards per carry after contact. So he was a one contact and down kind of guy. A lot of Bears fans bring up Najee Harris. Curious your thoughts on that. He's a free agent. I have my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Back to you, Steven. What are your thoughts?
No, that is my thought. It's just like, it's fine.
No, I get it.
If it's cheap, if it's, whatever. Yeah.
Sure.
I wouldn't spend a lot of money on him.
You want him? They're bringing up Najee Harris guy?
I would not.
Okay.
I would not. I think just given the draft class that you have right now, you can get somebody a lot cheaper. I mean, I brought up Damian Martinez on our Twitter. He's pretty much the same size as Najee Harris. He's a little shade under 230. He runs between the tackles. 2/3 of his attempts last season came between the tackles. Najee Harris is a luxury that you can't afford right now. You got $26 million to work with, and I'm not committing 8 or 9 of that to a running back.
Well, plus the market just keeps going up and up and up. What did Aaron Jones get?
2 years, 20.
Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm not going to say that DeAndre Swift's a bargain, but that contract's looking a little bit better a year later.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers just keep going up. And
it's crazy. But that's another reason why I would draft a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round. There's a lot of them. You're going to be able to get one.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the trade back. If they were able to trade back from 10, still get your offensive lineman at 17, 18, whatever. Now you have a 3rd, 2nd-round pick, and you can still attack O-line, D-line, and running back in the 2nd round, or tight end or corner, whatever. There's a lot of options here, especially if the Bears were able to check the defensive end box here in free agency with a veteran, just as they did with center. Now you can just go into the NFL draft and draft a bunch of guys that can develop behind these guys. I saw
another a comment in there, somebody I kind of haven't thought about in a while, Ian Wheeler. And I'm not banking on Ian Wheeler being the next, great Chicago Bears running back, but he certainly was interesting last year before he got hurt.
I can't believe we're getting Ian Wheeler on a big show mention.
I'm just saying, don't forget about him in the room.
Hey, I'm an Ian Wheeler guy. Love his history. Love the fact that he was friendly to the show. Like his speed. I mean, he's coming off a knee injury. We'll see. But
he could be an impact guy as a kick returner. Possibly.
We had him on last summer. He's a really good dude to root for.
Yep, no
talented.
Doubt.
He's coming off a ACL injury.
Special teams options there too. As we get to the top of the hour here, just a reminder that we are doing our Die Hard special during NFL free agency, $36. Great way to support the show. Great way to get yourself a free T-shirt. Great way to get a discount on our merchandise and our events. Great way to get our draft guide, which there is no better. Fran Duffy doing the heroes work with that, and we appreciate you and thank you for watching today. Once again, if you are new, of one of the 5,000 watching right now live on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're live Monday to Friday at noon, and anytime Bears news breaks, we're gonna eventually, probably about 20 minutes, pop off here. But if something happens later in the day, we'll be right back on, and of course pre and post during the season, before and after every single Chicago Bears game.
Absolutely. And Benjamin Allbright should be joining us here in just a few moments. So excited to talk to him and get some more insights on what's next here with free agency as dominoes continue to fall.
Sounds like Twitter's down again.
It is.
It's been off and on, so
Great job, Elon.
And I think I've really held my composure through all of this.
You have.
In that regard. Because typically, I'd be losing.
I mean,
my
look,
mind.
I'm thrilled because I got two things. I got a center, and I got a tweet deck equivalent for Blue Sky.
Yeah,
all in an hour. I mean, it's been a great day.
Huge day for you, and also shout out to the Bears over the weekend. Hoge got to spend a little time at the Walter Payton Center watching the first ever women's college flag football game. Rockford University Benedictine. And I don't know if you watched my video that I brilliantly put together yesterday, but I did put on there just for you, buddy, a punt. There was a punt. They punted. It was a boomer into the domed situation. Wasn't fielded properly, so maybe perhaps you could continue to contribute to the world by coaching.
Rockford College, my parents' alma mater, they need a special teams coordinator?
They might. They did. This was a punt drop, but there was a lot of good special teams plays out there, buddy, and a nice crowd. And I got to
was
talk.
It a good crowd because there's not a lot of space for a crowd in there. Did they jam them in?
They lined them up on one side of the field. Yeah. Parents, family, friends. It was not a ticketed event, and there was some good energy. There was some good energy, and Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles and the Bears brass were on the upper level there, taking in the action.
Yep.
I women's flag football. I could see it selling some tickets down the line. For reals.
Well, one of my things I've been trying to push the Bears on, if they are going to build in Arlington Heights, they need to put in a field with 5,000 stands at least.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Something like that to host high school games. You can host flag football games, whatever. I think it'd be great.
That's free advice there from Hoge. Kevin, you should take that. That's a good listen right there. I like that.
All right, we need better advice from someone even better, and that's Benjamin Allbright joining the show.
This dude knew that Drew Dalman was going to be a Bear. He freaking knew it.
Ben, how are you handling this morning without Twitter?
Oh, well, I'm already I'm under the weather. I've got the flu, so I'm in absolutely terrible shape already. And the fact that Twitter was down, it had me chucking the other phone across the room. So I apologize for the voice and the appearance, but we'll power through.
Appreciate it, Ben.
Braggs made you come on the show when you have the flu? He is such a bad guy.
I'm sorry.
He's like, you can handle it. Suck it up. You got this.
Well, in fairness, he is here after having knee surgery on Friday. So
see, so I couldn't let him. I couldn't let him get away with that, toughing it out through knee surgery, and then me just having a cold or whatever. So,
what grade are you? Yeah, all right. Well, enough with your sorry state right now. You'll be back to 100% in a minute. What grade are you giving the Bears on this Drew Dalman first foray into free agency?
Well, A+. I mean, this is something we talked about back out there, I think, at the Combine. We knew they were going to continue building along that offensive line. We knew they weren't going to get Trey Smith because he was going back to Kansas City, but we talked about this out there at the Combine and the commitment to building from the trenches and building it out. And that's, we talked about this extensively. This is what they've committed to. It's a winning formula. It's a successful formula, and it's going to work. And I like I said from the get-go, man, they got the right hire. You had the right quarterback. You just need to get the right coaching in there. Now you philosophically got the right thing building it out. I think there's a skill position player or two you could kind of have your eye on. I'd like to see one more deep threat out there, but I believe that Chicago is going to be competitive in the NFC North, and a good Chicago Bears football team is good for football.
What do you think happens with Trey Hendrickson, Ben? What's your guess?
He gets dealt like that. That happens. The question is where. There's still some stuff going on out there, and it has a lot of down trace to it. It's like the quarterback market right now. Like there's one domino that needs to fall for all of it to fall. There's some of that going on with the Hendrickson situation. The deal for him is gonna be like 35, 36 per year on the extension. So whoever's signing him is going to be shelling out some big time money. But that's not. That there's still some other dominoes that need to go there. I would suggest that Washington is in on that. Don't know if they get it done, but I know they're in on it.
So would you say Hendrickson is the first domino before Josh Sweat or vice versa?
I'm not sure on that because Sweat is okay. So the Cardinals are trying to beef up their line right now, right? And they're on with the Milton Williams thing. Somebody reported that was done to the Panthers. That's not done. Minnesota and Arizona are trying. Arizona's really trying for the Milton Williams. They want Williams and Sweat if they can get them both. And so There's a whole thing going on there. I think there's a couple of these edges that have to like come off the board before teams pivot to the trade for Hendrickson because, like I said, you don't want to do both. You don't want to give up. You got two assets, right? You got your cap and you got draft capital, right? And the last thing you want to do is double up and give up both to try to get somebody if you can avoid it. So with the Hendrickson thing, I think there are some teams that are eyeballing the free agent edges, and if that doesn't work, then they would pivot back.
And what's the biggest surprising thing you've seen so far today?
Jimmy Garoppolo going back to the Rams. um, um, right now I don't think there's anything there's not really a stunner. Most of this stuff was fairly well known. If you're paying attention to the Steelers right now, they're having chats with Aaron Rodgers, and I talked about that, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago that was headed that way. I got laughed at, but I still think that's headed that way. The Steelers are not committing to Justin Fields, and I know you guys are obviously familiar with Fields, but they're not committing to him. They're not willing to make him QB1. The only team out there in the market that's really willing to even entertain him is kind of the Jets. And they've got Tyrod Taylor. They'll give it a year, see if it works, and if it doesn't, they'll go to the draft. So that one is kind of fascinating to me. Watching those quarterback dominoes get ready to fall and see where everything goes. Darnold could ultimately wind up in Seattle. Could wind up in Tennessee. We'll see. But I could wind up in Seattle, and then the Kirk Cousins kind of specter out there, whether or not he gets cut, if he goes to Seattle or Cleveland, that kind of stuff.
That's interesting with Justin. What type of money you think we're talking then if they're not saying QB1?
Oh, low starter money. You're talking about maybe 20 million for 1 year type deal. I mean, it'd be termed as a 2 year deal, but it's really a 1 year deal with a team option, that kind of stuff. The Steelers' initial offer to him, I think, was 12 million, 1 year 12. So I don't know where they're at right now with him. He's in Dubai right now. He's not even in the States, but I know that the offers that they're putting out for quarterbacks were lowball offers because they weren't going to commit to those guys. And whoever is getting the Steelers job, it's really a 1 year thing. They're going to the draft next year to get their quarterback in the future. They just need somebody to tide them over until then.
Well, Bears fans woke up this morning thinking they were getting both Drew Dalman and Khalil Mack. And then Khalil Mack goes back to the Chargers for 1 year, $18 million. Were the Bears ever seriously involved in that potential?
Okay, so they were involved, but that was always trending toward going back to the Chargers. I think the Bears would have had to come a lot bigger than they were willing to do for that type of situation. I think Mack getting to stay there at the 1 year, 18 million, I think was good. If he was going to leave, it was going to have to be a multi-year with guarantees kind of deal. And I don't think the Bears were willing to really get there with what they needed to do to pry him away. So, he was like, well, if you want me, I need 3 year commitment, X amount of dollars. And instead they weren't willing to do that. Chargers come back with a 1 year, 18. He's like, I can just stay here, not uproot it and go.
So that being said, if they were slight in the discussion for Khalil Mack, but, didn't want to come to that level, they did try to trade for Matthew Judon before the year last year and potentially could have given up a second-round pick in that discussion. They did trade for Montez Sweat with a second-round pick. Ryan Poles has been aggressive in that defensive end market. So is that any kind of a tell that maybe we should kind of be waiting on pins and needles that they're going to attack here for a veteran edge?
Well, again, and this goes back to the philosophical commitment. They're going to be building in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. So yes, the edge is obviously a part of that. They're going to continue to make commitments to build from the inside out. And if they got the right guys at the right price point, in the market, then yeah. And honestly, the edge market right now in terms of free agency is fairly soft. So you may see another guy get picked up there that maybe you weren't expecting.
All right, let's just talk timing then, Benjamin, before you go here. Do you think the trade domino falls today? I'm trying to plan my afternoon here if I need to be ready to get back on here for an emergency pod.
Which trade domino?
The Trey Hendrickson domino.
Oh, the Trey Hendrickson domino. I'm sorry. I don't believe that happens today. I think you'll be okay. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, but my gut is that's not happening today. I think there's some other things that have got to go through. And I just don't get the sense that that's going to happen today.
We'll let you go here,
and we thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you're feeling better. Last thing, this feels a little different in terms of the first couple hours of free agency. Seems to be a lot of guys re-signing with teams. some big dominoes like we've just talked about aren't happening right away. Do you have any reaction to that, thoughts on that, or is it surprising to you at all? It just seems like it's been a little bit of a slower start to free agency.
Not particularly. The cap bump was a little bit larger than normal. Teams were expecting about 275, and they wound up with a grace roughly 4.5 million. So being able to keep your own was a little bit easier this cycle. Like for instance, Denver thought they were going to have to let DJ Jones go. They wound up instead of at 10 million, they get him back at 13 per. So there's been a lot of that. Teams paying the inflation price just to bring theirs back because they feel like a bird in the hand is better than hoping that the guy they bring in fits in with what they want to do. And so I think this offseason has seen more of that. The other part of this is this draft class is so weak that I think a lot of teams are trying to make sure that they've just got everything that they know from their own guys back because they don't want to get out over their skis on free agency, and then they don't want to get in the draft and have to need something that way. So I just think teams are trying to shore up internally a lot more this year, and I expect that to probably not be the case next year, but for this year, that's the way it's kind of trending.
By the way, Diana Rossini, Milton Williams to the Patriots.
Okay, yeah.
So
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, there were four teams in there. It was Vikings, Cards, Patriots, and Panthers. So whoever reported that Panthers early jumped the gun.
Somebody rando person saying 26 million a year. I've seen a lot on the money here. Does that sound right to you? Well, I'm citing because this person doesn't need to be. A lot of people are screaming out the money. They're screaming about it in the chat. I don't know what money were you hearing
For Milton Williams?
Yeah.
Oh, it was 20 plus, but what did you say? 25 million?
There's 26. No,
but again, Ben, it's coming from
Rando person.
No, not Rando. Ian Rappaport's got 26 million a year.
Okay. That's what happens when you get in a bid up. I mean, you look at it. You got four teams, and I know the Cardinals were very, very interested. So that's what happens when you bid something up. If you would have told me 2022, I would have believed it. 26 is eye opening, but that's what he's considered the top free agent in this class. So
that was what I was worried about, by the way, with Drew Dalman, that it was going to be the Bears were going to end up paying 18 or something like that, and then it would have felt less sexy. But 14 is a sexy number, baby. All right.
Ben, really appreciate you coming on. I know you've been under the weather, so I appreciate you toughing through, and now you'll be on call with us for the rest of the day, and we'll keep bugging you, and I'll keep hitting you up.
Absolutely, brother. Take care.
Great to see you at the combine, man. Appreciate you.
Make sure you're following Benjamin Allbright on Twitter, Blue Sky everywhere. If you can get on Twitter today. I think that, it's interesting. The Bears never really came up in that discussion with Milton Williams, but I'm okay with it. $26 million.
Vrabel.
The most sacks he's had in 1 year is what, 5?
Yeah, but
I get it. In his prime.
As long as you're getting disruption in the middle.
Sure.
Yeah.
But okay.
All right, well.
It's called draft well. It is the ultimate key to winning in the NFL. You must draft well.
I need to have my breaking news privileges brought back for the next show because Steven broke the Milton Williams news earlier. He was wrong.
I was reporting someone credible.
Bus tossed. Then he says rando person. He did the
which
rando.
was right.
Happened
Which was right.
Wait. What happened there? Why did you call Ian Rappaport rando person?
You want to meet him at Starbucks, bro?
Ian
Rappaport will kick your ass.
Team Jordan. Let's go. Schultz. You can handle this from here. I saw Rando, and then I had to scroll a little further, and then I saw Ian, and the chat had my back, and I was right. And I knew I could trust that Rando, just the way that Rando talked about it. And then I brought it to the show, and it was of great value, and everybody should be thanking me.
All right, not Rando. Courtney Cronin is saying that the Rams are closing in on adding center Coleman Shelton.
Going
back to the Rams he goes.
Wouldn't have been the worst plan B if Dalman's money had gotten crazy, like I brilliantly brought up early in the show.
Ryan Bates is still on the team.
Why?
As of right now.
Why?
Because you need depth. And Ryan Bates being center/guard backup is better than Ryan Bates being asked to be one of your starters.
Yeah, but arthritic shoulder depth is not exactly depth.
Okay. Well, that's fine. So you want Bill Murray over Ryan Bates?
Yeah, I do. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Give me
for the 1 millionth time, you have a 90-man roster to work with here. You can have both.
You could save
and let them compete.
You save $4 million by cutting him. Give me the $4 million. You don't want the $4 million? Give me the $4 million.
If I need it. If I don't need it.
Could have cut him and kept a guy by the name of Sanborn.
Jader Bear 76 just tweeted at me. Diehard Kit just came in. So pumped for this year. He tagged all of us. A lot of new diehards rolling in. Welcome to the family. Appreciate you guys all jumping aboard. Special deal for today, right?
$36.
$36.
Come to diehard. ALLCHGO.com/intro is where you go for that deal to get all of our diehard content, including Fran Duffy's draft guide. All right. As things have kind of slowed down here, do we need to get more supers before it closes out?
Yeah,
yes.
We got 23 more, so we're probably not going to be able to get through all of them, but we could hit some of them.
Give us the biggest ones.
Let's hit them.
We'll take them.
We got Jack H here, longtime Spotify lurker with Twitter down. I got to get my news the old-fashioned way. Live on YouTube like our forefathers intended. Let's get a center.
Oh, there it is.
Jack,
Jack.
We got him.
Yep.
Thank you,
Gabe
Jack.
Gardner. Good to see the surgery went well, Braggs. Let's hope the Bears make good decisions and don't bear it up. Looking forward to another week from CHGO.
You're the man, Gabe.
Going to be a fun week for sure. Now we're starting to get clarity.
Mike, $5. Why do you guys act like the O-line has been solidified? Tooney is old. Jackson is injury prone. Will likely be playing backups again midseason.
Why you got to be like that, bro?
You're right. So they should not have made those moves. Great point.
Mike.
Mike, I got a video for you along those lines that we'll speak to that. That's coming out later this week.
He's so eager to show that he can move 3 feet on a wheelchair.
That, huh? What's your problem?
You know that when you don't have your mic in front of
He
you.
doesn't, no.
What's your problem, bro? Mike? That's what I thought.
Okay, we're not threatening people with your wheelchair patheticness.
Oh, I am. I am threatening Mike.
So intimidating right now.
Beat me up, Mike.
We need none of that.
Really,
energy.
I just need to practice. I've never been in a wheelchair, so
That's obvious.
this is not easy. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't realize you were so great at it. It's hard.
Anyway, Bear Down Omaha, $2. I enjoy CHGO's quality programming.
Thank you, Bear Down.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Darian Wells, $1. Got him, fellas. Or $2, sorry.
Sure.
Assuming that's in Dalman.
That's for yes, that's for Double D.
Okay. Double D, we're calling him that.
Why not? True statement.
Okay.
Can't argue it.
All right.
D squared.
NL Mantia, $10. The CHGO Diehard Discord doesn't crash like Twitter. That's true.
Exactly right.
Yep.
We got one from Chubbs here. He sent quite a few. I will say with the O-line, I'm back to being optimistic.
There you go, Chubbs.
Thank you.
There you go, Chubbs.
If we got Chubbs, then the Bears did good work today.
Optimistic. He's hit the mile, Chubb.
Next one here from Matt. Matt Jones, Michael Williams, don't pass on a first-round edge from Georgia. Bears love first-round pass rushers. We need starters, not pick 10 backups.
It's a little thin when I watch him, but a lot of people like him there.
Drafting an offensive lineman at 10, we can argue about this for the next month and a half, but drafting an offensive lineman at 10 does not mean he's a backup. It means you just brought in a really good player.
Yeah.
Back in point, $2. Hoge, do you get more for babysitting them?
Oh, come on. You know what?
There's a bonus. There's a bonus structure
Who
there.
laughed over there?
That was Sean Anderson. I mean, who definitely thought that he's laughing in reference to you and not me. You know that, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
No, he's laughing at you.
No, I
You're
think
talking about Sean?
Yeah.
Whatever.
He's on Team Carm.
Samuel Martin, $2. What move gets Braggs to jump out of that chair? Braggs, what would it take?
Probably nothing because it would be very painful. But Trey Hendrickson, if he were to be traded here in the next 2 minutes, and I have no doubt that as soon as we end this stream, 30 seconds after it ends is when they'll make the trade.
That's a Hogan Johns thing.
Yeah.
If they trade for Trey, we'll pick you up out of the wheelchair, spin you around, and put you back down. When I say
great.
me,
Yeah,
that
they
means
trade for Trey Hendrickson.
it'll be
It's game on.
it'll be Kaduk, it'll be Norton, and it'll be Luke because Hogue and I are too weak. No offense, Hogue, but I haven't seen you in the weightlifting room anytime recently.
It's been a rough couple of months.
Yep. You know, we got to get better.
We do. We'll look at the tape and we'll get better.
Ramirez,
YouTube,
yep.
$5. Fort Worth, Texas here. You think Ashton Genting looks good now at number 10? I personally do, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he'll be there.
That would be that'd be as bold as it got. But if he is there and Ben loves him, he'll be a Bear.
Big Cram, $2. That Carm looks like he could win in tennis, referring to your onesie photo.
Yeah.
That Carm did win a lot of tennis matches. This Carm is now on the DL for 2 months.
Still out? I thought you were coming back.
I was, and then
Is that back?
I threw 9-year-old Beckett in the pool and too much torque on the old right ankle, and we've had a setback.
Oh no.
It's a terrible feeling.
You bus toss Beckett out of that too.
It was my fault, my decision. Don't blame 9-year-olds. Sweet crossover by Beckett this weekend with the lefty.
We got time for a few more. Onazol, $5. Genty is a luxury the Bears simply can't afford right now, and the running back class is deep this year. James Pierce shouldn't scare us at 10. That's a guy we haven't talked too much about.
Greg loves James Pierce.
Drake, we have mentioned
I think
him.
ability, yeah, we have talked about him. I think ability-wise, James Pierce fits the bill. Does he fit a Dennis Allen defense as a defensive end that's, like 255, 260 pounds? Dennis Allen typically likes his defensive ends to be bulkier, over the 285 range, big boys that can set the edge in the run game. So, I don't know if he's a fit for Dennis Allen's defense, and I think there's still a lot of questions about who he is as a player behind the scenes and his work and all that stuff. I don't know if those questions got answered at the Combine.
You want an interesting name?
I do.
I know the name, but I won't say it. I'll let you say it.
Who is it?
Larry Ogunjobi.
According to Ian Rappaport, Steelers have released Larry Ogunjobi.
This is now you can go get him. The way you went after our guy Ryan Bates Part 2, Ogunjobi. Bring in the 3-tech. Let's go.
The
Ogunjobi.
first guy that Ryan Poles originally cried for.
Well, when we showed my hair 3 years ago, that was the show where the Bears, I think they technically signed him after we got off that show.
They almost Ogunjobi'd, but then they didn't.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of defensive tackles on the market, that are like affordable or reasonable and guys that make sense for this team.
Yeah. Sam Darnold.
Oh, what do we got there?
Wow. Is that official?
Seahawks have their new quarterback, according to Ian Rappaport. It is Sam Darnold.
Wow.
He is finalized in a deal with the Seahawks, 3-year deal worth nearly, want to guess?
Yes, I do. I want to say he got
$42 million a year.
I think he got 40.
Just give me the total number over 3 years.
135.
Okay.
125 was what I was going to say.
$100 million.
Huh.
3 years, $100 million.
What's the guarantees?
Not included here.
Not
yet.
included. Okay. All right.
Okay. Just give me your initial upgrade or downgrade. They went from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold.
That's
It's an upgrade.
I think it's a downgrade.
I don't know if it's feels pretty lateral to me.
I mean, you don't have Kevin O'Connell coming with you to Seattle.
Correct.
What did Geno
You
get
also
again?
don't have DK Metcalf. I don't know, man. I think Sam Darnold's going
But
to
if
go
we're
back
just
to being
talking
Sam
about
Darnold.
quarterback versus quarterback, Geno, you think Geno's that good?
Seahawks also have a really bad O-line.
Geno's had some good years, man.
Geno was cheaper too.
I mean, I'm just glad the Bears aren't in the conversation of that. Trying to find a quarterback that's had one good year and giving him $100 million and or trading for Geno Smith and or doing any of that. Caleb, the time is now. Shout out to Crystal Simone, just dominating once again today in the chat and in our supers, supporting the show like she always does.
Well, by the way, now that Sam Darnold has signed, I mean, that's to what Ben Allbright was talking about. We're going to start to see the quarterbacks fall here, probably in the next few hours.
That was super interesting about the the market for Justin.
Same it was last year.
I know.
No one thinks he's a starter.
For some reason, I thought something had changed.
Maybe the Jets do.
I think he's a starter.
I understand.
But the league has been loud and clear on this. They were last year.
Let's Steven, let's go through and give some shout outs to some of the people in the chat that became a diehard.
Yeah, we got
during our show.
Michael Humphreys. He became a diehard and he's gonna get the Meatball Island shirt.
He called the Meatball City shirt. The Meatball Island, but I like it.
Humphreys has been a guy that you can depend on, and he's always taking his time to make the decisions, and today he made a great one. Shout out to Michael Humphreys. You are the man.
And we had another one in there, right?
Yeah, the Commish also became a diehard.
Appreciate you guys.
And
Commish.
This is a guy who's been running things for a long time, and now he's got an opportunity to run our Discord as the Commish.
And I know at the beginning of the show, Jesus Rodriguez also became a diehard. So I don't know if you have any diehard well wishes to give.
Jesus Rodriguez, if you put his name together, that's JR and that's junior, but he's junior to no one. He's actually a senior and he's a vet. He's been there and he's done that, and that's why we really appreciate the. And a great smile. Look at the smile by Jesus. This guy, he just puts a smile on your face when you see him. He lights up a room.
That's true.
Great diehard.
You getting exhausted over diehard shout-outs, bro?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, 5 months ago.
Hoge loves them.
Remember we banned him? There was a temporary ban.
It's one of the worst things that this show's ever done. The Carm diehard ban.
Oh, wait, just to be clear, for those of you new, we're not banning the shout-outs for becoming a diehard. We're banning the way Carm does it.
I
think it's a bad move.
We got to do extra. You gave to us. We're giving back to you. Jesus.
What's in that cup?
This is full strength coffee, buddy.
Oh.
Went black today. Because we got
and a little bump?
Nah, we didn't. No bump. No extra shot.
I'm going to transition out of that. Javen Terry, $5. Y'all see the report? Dalman took less money to come here. He chose Caleb and Ben Johnson. Let's go. Now, I saw that people were putting that in the chat that Jonathan Jones reported it. I can't verify it on Twitter because, well, Twitter isn't working again.
Yep, but we always trust our chat, and we love Jonathan Jones, friend of the program, so we'll just pretend as if he definitely did say that.
Everybody wants to be a Bear, and they'll do it for less. There's no better feeling.
Joe Tooney said he wanted to be a Bear.
He did?
Yep.
Okay.
Stephen Kohler, $10. If Graham, Genty, and Campbell are on the board at 10, which one of those guys are you taking?
I thought this was a good question.
This is a good one.
We talked about
this. You did this earlier.
Yeah, but we didn't. We talked if two of the three or one of the three, you're definitely taking them. But we didn't say if all three are on the board, who are you taking?
I'm taking Graham.
I'm taking Will Campbell.
I'm taking Graham.
I'm going to go Graham now that the Bears have signed 3 offensive linemen. Yeah,
Graham as well for me.
Yeah, Graham.
And I'm coming off that. 2 weeks ago, I would have said Mason Graham. But
what are you going to say in 2 weeks from now, though, is the real question.
It's an evolving.
You'll have to tune in.
Yeah, it's an evolving thing.
That's why you hit the subscribe button.
I have a beautiful mind. But I'm getting offensive line trench drunk.
Turn the notifications on so you don't have to follow any social media platform today. If there's something that happens, we will be going live.
Dino
Mike. Oh, you can read it, Steven.
Okay. $5. First time super chat. Huge Hoge fan. Keep up the good work, y'all. Bears fan here, relocated to Austin, Texas. Bear down.
All right.
See, now that's how to do it. You don't have to say that you don't like me. You can just say you're a huge Hoge fan. That's better.
I like that.
I didn't like
that.
Mike,
I'm a big fan of yours and Austin, Texas. So next time I go down to Austin, we're going to get a beer.
We got...
And Dino Mike, I'm the only one that lived in Austin, actually know the town, and can talk to you about this.
Competition.
It is. Everything's a competition. I used to dominate tennis at the South Austin Tennis Center.
All right. You'll get your moment here because Dam in the chat, live chat, says, I became a diehard like a month ago and got no shout out. That's a loaf by Carm. My name's David.
David, I apologize. You didn't deserve that. And this is what I like about David is he advocates for himself. When he's at home and the mac and cheese is not ready, David just takes the bull by the horns and he says, you know what? I'll get that elbow macaroni and I'll put it in that boiling water and I'll load up the cheese and I'll make it ready for myself because I'm David and I can do things on my own. I love it, David advocating for himself, and David's a great diehard. The D stands for David.
David can take down Goliath.
He absolutely can. That's why we need him on the Bears.
Crystal, $10. I'm with Chubbs. Optimistic. Love you guys. Bear down.
Hot damn time, Chubbs. Thank you, Crystal. Chubbs just been pissing me off lately.
I just can't believe we're living in a world where Sam Darnold just got $100 million.
I was thinking about that today. Like,
That's wild.
offensive linemen are getting insane dough. Like, why would anybody go to school? Just get in there and start lifting weights and do whatever that you can. The path to richness is the NFL. I know there's long odds, but, just
Kids, if you're watching this show, what he just said might have been the dumbest thing that's ever been said.
School's
on this show.
overrated. Just start lifting weights and learn it. You work on your footwork.
As if that's all it takes to reach the NFL.
These
are all the most athletic people, especially the offensive line.
Get a trainer.
They might be the most athletic.
Get a trainer. Work on the footwork. Lift weights. Eat a lot of food. Don't worry about your future. Just focus in on football. Money's too good.
Here's some free agent defensive tackles as we start to wrap things up here.
And one of them,
Milton
the reason I'm
Williams
putting
off the board, obviously.
Una Ford just signs as well. He signs with the Rams on a 3-year deal, so that's another one off the list. And this market is really drying up fast.
And I think Sheldon
defensive
Rankins is
tackles.
also off the list, too. I think he signed a 1-year deal.
Oh, there we go, another one.
But I got my eyes on Jonathan Allen, obviously a recognizable name.
Visiting the Vikings today.
And another reason why the Bears need to be looking at Jonathan Allen. Make sure he doesn't go to the Vikings. Why not? So, be interesting to see how the rest of this day wraps up.
Hey, Hoge, Mr. You love good players. You giving Trey Hendrickson $35 million a year? Oh, man. It's getting rich out there. It's getting real. We're talking.
If it's a 3-year deal where only the first 2 years are guaranteed, I think I still make that work.
Mm-hmm.
Get some signing bonus in there to keep that cap number down.
Yeah, figure it out. Spread it out over a couple of years.
Cap's gonna be $400 million in 3 years anyway.
Right.
I don't know.
$5 here from Michael Phillips, longtime watcher and listener. You guys are amazing for my Bears news. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Appreciate you, Michael.
And sorry, we're running low on time, so we can't get all of them. Majin Boo 3X. After our new additions on offense, do you believe Caleb will have an MVP-like year, especially if we could run the ball consistently?
All right, let's slow that down a little bit. I'd go for most improved player, which I don't even know if that's an award or not, but we're going to make it an award. MVP's a little ambitious.
I did look at the odds. I think he was top 10. He was tied for 11. That's what it was. He was tied with Baker Mayfield on the odds for MVP. I'm not going there, though.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think that's like a good equivalent of like where he like sort of should be. Baker Mayfield level right now.
Well, a quarterback almost always wins.
Yeah.
So you're saying is Caleb Williams a top 12 quarterback this year? He should, in year 2, you hope for a leap. He could be right there.
I mean, top 10 quarterback 2025 would be a great goal.
Yeah.
You sure would.
All right.
Did you read Matt Bowen's breakdown of Drew Dalman?
I mean, he was on my show on Friday, so yes.
Well, I'll share it here for our viewers. Thank you very much. Drew Dalman,
My show
two Bears.
is the best part of that.
Yeah, it's John's show for one.
Oh,
Shout out to John.
wow.
The best of the Adams.
He did
But-
book him.
Matt Bowen talks about Drew Dalman to the Bears. Technician, athletic, easy mover, wins with assignment and leverage, good fit for the zone run game under Ben Johnson, registered a pass block win rate of 95.1% in 2024. Chicago continues to rebuild, upgrade the offensive front. There it is.
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 Swaggy McNolegs.
It gets me every time.
Well, the only reason I brought him up is A, I'm happy to see you back in the chat. B, Steven said as I was rolling onto the set, he goes, now who's the Swaggy McNolegs?
Well, you are no legs. I don't know about Swaggy.
Come on.
Well, it's Mc one leg over here.
Half a leg.
He's got half of 2 legs.
This is Greg's last day in studio for the next 6 weeks, so we should all enjoy him here.
No, I'll be here on Wednesday. Joseph Sangiovanni, $20, 20 CHFS dollars, whatever that is. Feeling pretty good about the direction. Keep up the good work. Whiskey time here. Thanks, CHGO team. You guys rock.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate that. I think that's a Swiss franc.
Yeah, Chiff dollars. Bragsy McNolegs. Dr. Truth. That's good.
Bragsy McNolegs. That's good.
Kind of bummed we didn't get Puna Ford.
Pizzatola says, and Spanky McNobrain in the middle.
Settle down there, my man Pizzy.
Spanky McNobrain.
Can we?
That's officially your new name.
Hey,
When
Pizzy.
you put up our names on the screen, Steven, please, Spanky McNobrain.
Hey, Pizzy, talk to me
I'm
about
just Adam.
talk to me about the one-time undrafted free agent Puna Ford. We could have had him. Where were the Bears on Puna Ford, Hoge? Huh?
Where are the Bears on Puna Ford?
Yeah.
I like Puna Ford.
Just
I
guys
don't
a
know if he's
force.
exactly what the Bears need, though.
He's a force in the middle.
Yeah. They got Andrew Billings.
You wouldn't go Billings for Puna?
Deflect from what Pizzatola said.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay.
Darius Slay to the Steelers per Jordan Schultz.
Okay. There it is. All right, here's the deal for the rest of the day and week. Whatever happens, we have you covered. So here's you should be subscribed because at any given moment, Bears will make some major move, probably when we're stuck in traffic on the Kennedy, and we will go live with an emergency podcast. That includes today. We're actually going to hang around here today in case something breaks, and we'll have all the coverage too at allchgo.com. Pat Norton, our guy, already has the free agent tracker going. It is live at allchgo.com, and I know he was working on a story on the Drew Dalman signing. I'll have my reaction up there as well. Lot going on here. Appreciate everybody watching, listening. Of course, it's available as a podcast every single day as well. Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, please subscribe over there too. But again, if you can hit your notifications too, you'll know if we go live for an emergency podcast. We are your home for every single big story with the Chicago Bears and beyond here at CHGO. Yes, Carm?
I'm just very proud of ourselves. 2 hours and 38 minutes of straight focus.
Yep.
A little bit of chicanery here and there, but I thought we did a great job.
It was great. And then Adam tried to end the show,
Yeah.
and you had to add in
And
that
three
last
more,
thing.
and 3 more of my hair's turned gray.
That's the way it
See?
is.
So I'm out of the running. This is all on him.
It's
I've been
totally.
Team Braggs now for about 2.5 weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know.
And you have the knee injury now to
Yep. And I
add-
got
you
got
get
the
sympathy
tabby
card.
cat.
And you got a tabby, which
Yep.
solid move.
You're just
What'd you do, Carm, over the weekend?
Took great care of
What
Poppy the
Blew out
puppy.
your ankle again?
Yep, sure did.
What'd you do, Spanky McNobrain?
You okay?
It's
All
hard.
right,
It's hard,
Trey Hendrickson
it's-
coming up here in a couple hours.
it's hard to say goodbye to the 4,000 they're
minutes.
still watching, but we love you. So hopefully we'll be back later today. But if not, we'll see you tomorrow at noon.
Carm will miss you very much, but you'll be back for our emergency show coming up soon, I'm sure. We'll talk to you at worst case scenario, noon tomorrow, probably before then, on the CHGO Bears Podcast.